All right, folks, this week we had the chance to sit down with my dear friends, Celia Miller and Torstein Horgmo. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're kind of a power couple. Torstein obviously done a lot of incredible things within snowboarding. Celia as well. She was a pro snowboarder. She was the first female X Games judge. And more recently, she was the glue behind the film Return. She's a photographer. Both of them together, it was a great dynamic. Really, really fun show. I think you guys are going to love it. Before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know that 71% of people listening and watching aren't subscribed to this on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. So if you want to do us a huge favor and just support the show in a major way, subscribing does that. And lastly, before we get into this beautiful show, I got to thank the sponsors for making this happen. Woodward, Bubs, Herschel, Pub Beer, Goodr, Lucy, Smith, GoPro, and Arbor. Thanks for making this show possible and coming on board. Now let's get into the Celia and Tor episode. Here we go.
You are listening to the
Hey, MFM. See you on the lips. Back attack, dude.
Bon voyage!
Get that damn car off of the hill.
Slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
All right, welcome to the Bomb Hole, which is presented by the best company on planet Earth. Run through a wall, smelling salts. To my right, we got Torstein Horgmo in studio. What's happening?
We are here, and I am super happy to be here.
We are thrilled that you're here, Tor. This is going to be a fun chat. To my left, we got Celia Miller in studio. What's happening, Celia?
Not much. A little nervous, but we'll warm into it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a banter journey, banter marathon. And, of course, we got our producer, Silk D. What's happening, Silk?
Not much. I'm excited to be here. Very happy to be here. And before we get into the show, I need to tell our viewers about Arbor Snowboarding. Arbor's been making high-performance snowboards for nearly 30 years with a little thing called craftsmanship. And they do it with a conscience. These guys were on the sustainability tip long before it was cool, using real wood top sheets, eco-friendly materials, and actually giving a damn about the mountains and the planet. Backed by one of the sickest teams out with riders like Jared Elston, Marie-France Roy, Red Gerard, Brian Aguchi, Danny Cass, and many others, Arbor Snowboarding is resetting the standard, blending high performance and sustainability with precision, power, and purpose. So whether you're straight lining like a psycho or going full dummy in the park, Arbor's got A-grade boards and bindings to get you riding your best. Now let's get into the episode.
Wow, Silk. True professional.
That's impressive.
He's a true professional, isn't he?
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice work.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's hit the ground running. I got a topic I want to just start with. Back in the day, Summit County was, everybody lived in Summit County. Like all the pro snowboarders lived there. And now I feel like you guys are kind of some of the last of the Mohegans over in Summit County. How is it? How's the scene over there? How's the vibes?
It's lonely.
Yeah, it's different. I've been there for 18 years, and I moved there because of that reason. Like, Breck used to have ads in Transworld, and I was like, oh, that's where the park is, and that's where all the cool people are, and that's the whole reason I moved there. But I feel like there's not many people left.
Yeah, I think there's a thriving community of snowboarders. You know, like they show up for everything. But in terms of like our, friends that are pro snowboarders, there's just not as many.
Yeah,
right?
It's different. Like, you used to just be able to roll up on the hill, and everybody's there. You didn't have to call people to meet up. It's just like the squad's up there. Now it's more coach, kid focused, teams and training.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's just getting a little, I don't know, I want to say vanilla maybe. It's just different, I think the whole landscape of snowboarding is changing in the resort towns. Not all of them, though. There's still some strongholds left, but we enjoy it still. We have our little zones, we have sled zones like 20 minutes away in all directions, and still a plethora of resorts, even though they are like the bigger ones. But we also just got a rope tow put in at the Frisco Adventure Park. Shout out the FAP. Woo! And but it's cool. Like, it's just there's one more like affordable option with people that don't necessarily want to go to the ginormous place that is way too expensive, and just have a bit of fun, like skate park vibe.
Amazing. So Celia, I got another topic here. Torstein briefed me on your skill set with power tools.
It's a hobby that,
It's a problem.
yeah, it's a problem. I have a collection of like tools in the garage, like a old vintage jet table saw, and I keep going to Home Depot and come back with something new, like a new miter saw or something. And Tor's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
What are we building?
I just like to do projects. Like I ripped our whole bedroom apart and put in new flooring, and we're getting new doors, and I redid it. I don't know. I like projects, but I'm really bad at finishing them. So I just get like almost to the end, and he's like, "Oh, I got to put that trim on," and then it's been sitting there for 6 months. I'm like, just got to put the trim on the bottom. Yeah, but I just enjoy creating, I think. Maybe it's not always about the finishing, it's just the process.
She's really good at it.
Yeah.
It's really impressive to see her work, and also like she does art pieces and stuff like that too, like just precision woodworking. But anytime she has like an impulse purchase at Home Depot and she takes a selfie and then like the new, I don't know, nail gun or something is in the back seat, and I just look at her face and it's just like true blissful, like I made it. I've arrived kind of happiness, you know? It's just amazing.
Oh, it's incredible. How's Tor's skill set?
Tor's not super good with the handyman stuff. It's not that he can't do it, his just interest level's not there. Like if there's a light bulb out in the house, it will be out forever until I change it.
Room to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you are good with direction if I need help. And I'm like, here's a paint roller, like, get to work. He's like, okay, what do you want me to paint? I'm like,
That's good.
Paint
That's
that wall.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's on
hold
it.
this, you know?
Yeah, I'm right there with you,
Then
Tor.
it's like-
I got same skill set. Yeah,
But then I'm like somehow holding it wrong. And it's,
I have the same problem. Yeah, very common.
yeah.
It's okay though. Your interests are different. You know, it's snowboarding and music, and that's okay.
Hey, good at those things, though. He's fantastic at
He's
those.
really good at those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. We got such a good show coming down the pipeline. We actually, in a little bit, we're going to hit some trivia. A little husband and wife trivia. This could be
Yeah,
interesting.
things might get
We'll see how
heated,
things
on
go.
the ride home.
And then obviously Torstein, he did a show with us. You did a show maybe 4 years ago. So we're going to start by kind of pointing the lens at Celia for a bit. And I would love to hear kind of your story and growing up on the East Coast and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I actually knew nothing about snowboarding until I was like 16, almost 17. And the only reason I learned about what it was because I got my driver's license. I needed to pay for my part of the insurance. So my parents told me I needed to get a job. And I looked in the newspaper and there was a spot for selling tickets to the local ski resort. And so I was like, perfect, I'll do that. That sounds like easy money, you know? And I was probably working there for a month before somebody was like, you know, you can snowboard for free. Like, if you want to try it. I'm like, okay. And the first time I tried it, like, hated it, was on my butt the whole time, like, picking myself up. I was like, this sport sucks. Like, this is not fun. But then somebody who was more of like I think they were an instructor or something, they took me out one day and, like, told me how to, like, figure out how to turn and use your edges. And I was like, oh, and I put my first 2 turns together. And I remember being like, I am the coolest person ever. Like I just did like a front side to, you know, like I did like a front side turn to back side. It was just, I remember thinking I was like the shit when that happened because nobody else at the school could really do it. So I was like, yeah, I got to figure it out. But it was a super small local resort, Powder Ridge in Connecticut. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but I just like got sucked in because I was like, it was so different than what I grew up with, which was all track and field, sports, school, get good grades. Like it was kind of like on this path of like get to college and get a good job and good degree and all that stuff. And yeah, I just was like, I don't want to do that. And I got super deep into snowboarding. It was like, I started working at a shop and everything was just about doing that. And I had no intention of like being anything in snowboarding or like trying to, like, I just thought it was cool and different. And I just discovered it. And yeah, so that was kind of my intro. And it just completely changed my life because everything that happened from then on, like up until this point, like my life would be completely different if I hadn't have followed what I wanted to do instead of what my parents kind of wanted me to do, which was go to school, get a good job, you know.
Incredible. Well, we happen to have a guest question from Rob Kingwell. Here we go.
Oh, Kinger.
What's up, Bombhole? This is Rob Kingwell, tuning in for the Celia Miller episode. Celia, you and I go way back, but I've never heard the story of what inspired you to move to Colorado. And I want to know what it felt like when you were standing at the top of the Breckenridge Park for the very first time, ready to drop in.
Oh, I love Kinger. He's like one of the most amazing humans on the planet. Watching him ride is like I know he's in his 40s, but like he's one of the most incredible snowboarders.
Kinger's amazing.
Love Rob. Spent a lot of summers with him at Camp at Champs and Mount Hood. But yeah, so what was the question? It was
kind of what made you want to move out west, and then what was it like when you were at the top of Breck Park for the first time?
Right. I think when I worked at the snowboard shop, I used to work at the Cutting Edge snowboard shop in Connecticut, which has been around for like 30 years. And we took a team, like a employee trip out to Colorado one spring. It was a spring break trip. And I showed up and was like, I'd never been on a plane. I'd never been out west. I'd never seen mountains like that. And I was like, what is this place? Like, this is insane. I need to be here. And before I moved out, like that summer, I went to Mount Hood. And I hopped in a car with a friend, didn't have a job, and like showed up in Mount Hood and was like, maybe I can like squeeze my way in to like be here all summer, because I heard it was like the place to be. And I got a job as a counselor. And so I was like able to snowboard all summer at Mount Hood. It changed my life. Met one of my best friends, Sabrina, out there. And she's like, you can't go back to the East. You have to come to Colorado. Like, come move here. So that was kind of like the push between, I kind of knew that summer. I was like, I got to keep doing this. This is insane. Like, I don't want to go to school. I don't know. I just wanted to snowboard. Like, I had no goal or no plan. Like, there was no job opportunity or anything. You know, it was just like, this is just what I need to do.
How old are you at this point?
20. Yeah. Maybe 21. I turned 21 at Hood one of those summers, I think. Yeah, so the first time I guess I got to Colorado, if I go back, it was the spring break trip, but I didn't move there. It was just my first trip. And we landed in Denver and we drove up over Loveland Pass to a basin. So that was my first experience, was like driving up to these mountains over this crazy pass. And I was like, where are we? My first run in Colorado was on Loveland Pass. And we did a car lap. They just dropped us off at the top and we rode down. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I'd never done anything like that in my life. So everything was just like so new. And I just wanted more, you know? Yeah.
Amazing. And then what ultimately, you know, when you moved out there, what did that look like?
That was telling my parents I'm not going to the next semester of school that I was already signed up for, that I would finish the semester I was at. And like, after Christmas break, I got on a Greyhound bus. I bought like an $80 ticket. I had no money. I was like, I'm going. And like, I had a place to stay. And I got to Breck and I was like, all right, I'm here. I started walking down Main Street and I was like, I'm gonna get the first job I can get, which I did at a restaurant, just like hosting. And I was like, okay, I can make some money to pay rent. Like, I can make this work, you know? I don't even remember how I got a season pass, or I don't remember any of that, but I just remember I was like, this is gonna happen. And my parents were just, I mean, I love them and they're wonderful, but it was so out of left, field for them. Like, they were like, well, you're not taking the car. You're not, like, we're not paying for it. Like, you're kind of like, good luck, have fun, you know? I was like, I'm going to make this work. And I'm still there 18 years later.
Fire was lit.
Yeah. I want to hear more about this Greyhound bus, because if I think about it, that's a long bus ride in a car. But, you know, what's going through your head when you're sitting on a Greyhound moving to the unknown?
I would never take a Greyhound again, probably. I mean, I don't know, maybe desperate situations, but like, it was cheap, it was affordable. They picked up near my town. It was like, I think over 48 hours to get to Colorado because they stopped along the way. And I remember halfway through, like, I'm just this little girl in this bus. Like, I'm the only one. Like, it's a bunch of random types of people. And I had found some lady that was like she kind of looks normal. And I was sitting with her for the first part of the trip. And we stop halfway and I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest, and all these guys get on and they're all wearing like gray sweatsuits, and I was like, why are they all dressed the same? And she's like, oh, they just got out of federal prison. Like, you get a free bus ticket to anywhere in the U.S. And I was like, fantastic. Like, I'll just be here in the back. Like, it was a little intimidating. I remember getting to Colorado, and like when I got off this like stop, I was done. I broke down. I was completely like the only thing I had going was like, I'm here. I made it, But I wouldn't do it again unless I was really desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full leap of faith.
Yeah.
Not going to get that Greyhound bus sponsor.
I don't think anybody needs that.
Yeah. But I was just determined. I was like, I'm going to make it to Colorado. That was the way. And I mean, when you're young, things are different. Like now, I would probably not choose that. But when you're young, you want to make things happen. You just do whatever it takes to make it work.
Part of the journey. So how did things evolve from there once you got to Colorado?
I mean, I just kind of had no plan. I was just working at the restaurants and making money. And I actually got introduced to Christy Shalou. I don't know if you remember her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she was like, she probably doesn't even know this, but she was such an inspiration to me because she was like, selling photos to the magazines. And she took some photos with me. I think she was shooting with somebody else. And she was like, hey, I'm working with this company. Like, maybe we can like get some gear on you and shoot some photos. And I was like, really? I was like shocked that she wanted to take any pictures of me at all, And I was like, okay. And she ended up getting me connected with the girl brand Betty Rides back in the day.
Yep.
So I was like Betty Rides, like, feature girl for a while. But yeah, Christy, like, she probably has no idea, but she opened the door for me for, I think, a lot of different things. And I was
Shout out.
I was so grateful to her. And I just felt like I was the new person in this world. So I don't know. I didn't think like everybody else was bigger and more experienced. And I like anything that was given to me, I was like, whoa, really? Like I get a free jacket? Like that's cool. Yeah.
Amazing. And at the time though, I'm sure you're just like smashing park laps at Freeway Terrain Park and everything else, right? Just sharpening your skills, snowboarding every day.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was a good rider because I rode a lot, but I wasn't very good with tricks or any kind of technicalities, because we just didn't have that much. I don't know, we didn't have much on the East Coast that wasn't like solid ice. But like even the first summer I worked in Mount Hood, I learned how to do my first back 180. I 50-50'd my first rail. And I was like counseling and then moved into coaching like 5-year-olds, Like I didn't know how to do anything but turn and go fast down the hill and like straight air jumps. And so then I moving to Breck and riding with everybody. It was so quick when you're riding every single day. I was like, oh, I'm going to learn how to do back 3. I'm going to learn how to do front 3. I'm going to learn how to do hand plants. Like the spring quarter pipe was so fun. Like, and it was just watching and learning. Like I'd see people do it and I'd be like, I can figure that out. Like I wasn't super talented necessarily, but I was very coordinated and I like to watch people, and like I was discovering things as I was there.
You had solid fundamentals.
Yeah.
Just being good at going fast and turning is not nothing. That's all you really need.
No, but when everybody around you is like doing tricks and you're riding every day, it's really easy to like progress, So I learned quick. Yeah.
So how did your snowboard career really start to blossom?
Probably like, let's see. I mean, it was slow. I rode for Betty Rides. I rode for Never Summer. I moved. O'Neill was probably the big one where I went under like a contract where I had just, some travel and some help, but they used me as like their main woman. Like I was their first female pro, on their snow side, and I was their catalog face, and they had the Celia Miller jacket, which I never made $1 off of, but like, like sure. Like, and that was the thing at the time. I was like, whoa, you're going to make a jacket around me? Like, I didn't know, like, I should get money from that,
Did you design it?
Yeah, I flew to Amsterdam and was working with their team, and I would, look at, they had like certain things picked out, like they're like X, Y, and Z, and I'd go through fits and be like, well, I like a bigger fit here, and like, let's make sure it moves there. Like, I just put my input in, but they had a design team that was doing most of it. But they definitely marketed it as my jacket.
But I've seen footage of you. You're like going to the big air contests and you were competing and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, I did I did a couple dew tours. I did the O'Neill events. They had like the O'Neill Evolution. What else did I do? That was kind of it. Like, I didn't really like competing. I was just like, oh, everybody's competing. I should be competing. And I wasn't really great at it, like mentally, like, because that was never my thing, was like, I'm going to go be a really good competitor. It's very opposite than from tour. But like,
Different.
I really enjoy riding backcountry. So I was like riding with a lot of crews and guys that were riding around Colorado and teaching me the ways and learning how to build jumps. And like, I wanted to do more of that and film, but like O'Neill, like nobody wanted to fund me for that stuff. So it was like, okay, I'll just keep doing the contests and keep doing mediocre. And like, it's kind of fun, but most of the time the weather's crappy or, the jump's crappy or I was just there.
At one point while you were competing as well, you decided you wanted to start your own clothing store as well.
Yeah, I actually had started a clothing store with my best friend Sabrina, who was the reason I moved to Colorado. And I had helped her open a shop a while back, but it was a different situation. Her and her dad owned the property. They ended up selling it, whatever. But I was like kind of getting over working at the restaurants, and I was like, I can do that. And I talked to her about it. I was like, hey, I'm thinking of opening a little boutique. And she gave me all her papers and I ran all the numbers and I was like, oh, we can totally make some money doing this. And so, I mean, it's a long story on involving that and finding the business and the location and that. But I opened the shop and I was still kind of like, running the shop and a little bit working at the restaurants, but it was enough money where I could kind of travel and do all the things that like sponsors weren't paying for. So like I could get to Europe and go to the Locks Open, I went to Pennsylvania once to qualify for the US Open, qualified, got there. And then so I was kind of funding myself to go do the things I wanted to go do. Or on backcountry trips, we'd get a hotel and everybody would split all the rooms and just whatever I needed some cash for. It was enough to sustain me where I could actually travel and make money and have employees be there to run the shop when I wasn't there.
So you owned and operated your own clothing store?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Yeah. Insane. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, just to make it clear, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so you're learning how to manage a business and you're learning all this on the fly at the same time.
Having employees.
Yeah. Yeah, I had 6 people working for me and it's all local young people like myself. So it's kind of making sure that shifts were covered and stuff. And
you were doing trips out to Los Angeles too, right? And going to the markets and stuff and picking out clothing.
We'd go do big shopping trips and fill up the store before all the big holidays. Like Christmas is a big time, spring break's a big time.
Yeah.
And make sure you're stocked for those times. But it ended up being the type of tourist that was buying the stuff in the shop was not necessarily the stuff that I wanted to always buy. So over the years, I kind of ended up being the things I really like or think are cool or not really the type of people that are shopping in Breck. They just want t-shirts that say Breckenridge. So
I forgot where I am. I need this on me all time.
I don't have enough Breckenridge t-shirts.
Where are we? Oh.
Cool.
But it was an insane experience. I didn't plan it, but I taught myself how to run a business and how to deal with employees and run taxes and make sure you're doing everything proper. And you could literally take anything out of there and replace it with any other product, but you understand how a business works. And that was kind of a schooling that I just gave myself unintentionally.
Probably better than anything you'd ever learn in school too, because you're learning it real time and you're trial and error.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer of most things are better to learn not in school. I mean, kids should go to school, but if you're interested in something and you want to go do it, go study with somebody or go learn from them. You'll learn the real way.
Now, do you find yourself slowing down a little bit in your older age, maybe getting off hill a little earlier? Well, you could be dehydrated. 75% of Americans are dehydrated. And that goes up when you're at elevation, when you're in the mountains. So I drink Bubs Hydrate or Die hydration packets. There's 2,000 milligrams of electrolytes. There's no added sugar. There's no artificial flavors. Let me tell you, when I'm hydrated, I ride better. I can ride longer. I have more energy. All in all, my vitality is just better. So if you're interested in picking up some Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die, head on over to bubsnaturals.com and use promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off your order. And stay hydrated, people, with Bubs Naturals Hydrate or Die.
All right, we're going to take a brief intermission to discuss some incredible offers from our incredible friends over at Woodward Park City. Get your child's snowboarding adventure started correctly at Woodward Park City. Whether they're making their first turns or mastering front boards, Woodward Park City has a wide range of classes for all ages and all skill levels. If you're interested in progressing, head on over to woodwardparkcity.com.
Well, this is a good place to transition talking about how it seems like you've always had a camera and you were a photographer, more as maybe a hobby, but at a certain point in time, it took a kind of a dive into actual career, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it was kind of like where snowboarding, as far as like trying to be something in snowboarding, ended for me. And it was like in 2014 during the Olympic year. And I had flown to, I was going to try to make the U.S. team because it was like Jamie Anderson, Ty Walker, Jordy Karlinski, myself. I'm trying to think who else. But there was only like 5 girls. And I was like, the chance of like myself making it in is pretty high if I had a good year.
This was in slopestyle.
Slopestyle, yeah. And it wasn't like guaranteed, but I was like, man, it'd be a pretty amazing experience. But I had to fly to Pennsylvania to qualify, and I got the spot. Like, I think I had to win or get second. And I did. Got into the U.S. Open. And during the first day of practice, I was like, oh, this is insane. Like, I'm here. Like, I can't believe I got into this event. And at the end of the practice, like in the mini park at the very top, there was like the tiniest flat bar that I'd been hitting all day. And I just landed off of it, like nothing weird. I landed, everything was fine, and my knee just, and I think I just had taken enough impacts that day that it just was tired. And I was down. It was like the most painful knee injury I'd ever had. And it was actually only a meniscus, but it had like torn in a couple places and flipped up and was stabbing me. So like when it happened, I was like, oh, my whole knee's blown. Like, I'm done. Like, I had to get sledded off the whole thing. I wouldn't even let the ski patrol touch me. I was like, don't touch me. I'll get into this sled. Like it was bad, but it just kind of like ruined my year. And like, that was it. And I think I lost my sponsorship with O'Neill. They called me and said we'd been kind of in negotiation for like a while. I had some help from an agent friend of mine, just being like, hey, can you help me like make sure I'm not getting like worked over here? And we'd been going back and forth, and like 3 days before we were supposed to sign, they called and were like, yeah, we're not going to re-sign you, and we need somebody who looks more beachy and more surfy. And I was like, pretty blonde at the time. Like, the excuses were insane. I was like, okay, fine. Like, I was pretty hurt, I was just like, anyway, so hurt my knee. I got hurt, and I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to snowboard. I was pretty over it. And at the time, I had a really good friend out of Vail who ran a production company, and he'd been making films. Like his first camera was like I don't know, he had a Super 8 or something. He was making films when it was still film, but he was now moving into the action sports, like commercial space. And he hit me up and he's like, hey, like, I need some help. Like, do you want to come be my assistant? I was like, sure. Like, I'm, not doing anything. I'm kind of in a bad spot. And so I started working for him, assisting him as like a PA, which is like a production assistant. You're basically the person like watching the gear, like go get coffee. Yeah. It's go pick up lunch for the squad. But he was doing big work. Like he, was doing outside television shows and music videos and commercial stuff with Bose headphones. And so I all of a sudden was like in this production world, like totally by accident. And he just gave me this schooling where he brought me up to the point where I was helping him produce commercials. Like, I was signing contracts for the companies and making sure like our budgets were proper and getting our crew signed. Like, it was, it's a lot of paperwork and back end stuff, but it's what needs to happen to make these productions like go smooth. And so I spent like 7 years working with him, and that was my intro to that world. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I feel like, that must tie in because at this, I'm just going to jump ahead for a second though. With Return, Torstein's the kind of consumer facing, the face of Return, but really, I think maybe you could speak to this, Tor, but Celia is really the glue to make the whole operation happen, right?
Yeah, 100%. We did it sort of, it was just a decision we made together I'd basically done all my previous projects, sort of spearheading them myself, and then sort of hiring homies for help and, but sort of having a hand on everything. And then this is the first time I'd done something with somebody else. And, Celia being my wife, we made that decision together. Like, do we want to do this? We got to do it together and actually make it like a family effort, which is like the best decision ever because it was such an adventure and way bigger undertaking than we could have imagined at any point. But Celia produced the whole thing. We were in meetings together, like fundraising for it, and she was following up with everybody, staying connected with every obligation we had, all the deliverables as far as content and all this stuff, and planning trips and booking lodging and having group emails with all the riders, and like Mikey and Cont'd and Mons and these guys going like, what the fuck, this is so nice, we've never had this, like this is it's like never responding to any of them, but getting all just like, what are we supposed to do? We have like all the information,
I'd write this huge long email with like, a full itinerary and just crickets on the other end. I'm like, okay, I'm sure they read it.
Please tell me they got it.
Yeah. But it was cool because like it was like the start of just a whole new adventure that, we were just nice to know that you were like doing everything and planning everything alone. And like Celia is just really, really experienced in that field of producing and just made it really comfortable for everybody. And it was just like, just a family effort. Yeah, it was just really nice.
Yeah, I think going into like the beginning, like into Japan, I tried to do it a little more proper like I would on actually like a commercial shoot or something. And I had a full like production schedule day by day. And then I was like, nobody's reading this stuff. Like it's a complete waste of time. Like, so I kind of like toned it down. But on a real shoot, like you'd have a very detailed itinerary of what's happening day to day and like who needs to be where's lunch, like where is it coming from, who's picking it up. Like you got to have all these components so that the production runs smooth and you're able to get the shots you need. And yeah.
It wasn't just that. It was like in the pre-production too. Just she's, doing all the graphic design. It's all her images for the pitch decks, and having meetings with all the sponsors, like trying to explain what my vision is, and then but she's really good at sort of putting it into words and imagery, like for the initial, just hey, we want to have a meeting about this, So it's just kind of obvious, which was super helpful.
And this was different because we're working with a lot of his brand. He has good relationships with all these people, and they're not just like random people from some company that we're talking to, But it's still important to like make things look very professional. Like, and if you're serious about what you're doing, like yeah, it can be simple information, but it needs to be laid out in a specific way so that when you hand that deck to somebody or they're handing it to their boss or their, the CEO, like they look at it and they understand what they're looking at, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll fund this,
Amazing. Hey, we got a Patreon question, Silk. The one for Celia's on there, if you wouldn't mind teeing that up.
First of all, thank you to all the Patreon members. We appreciate your support. And this question is from Jenny. For Celia, what were the biggest challenges for you during the process of making Return?
I think it was probably, I don't want to go super deep into it, but it was probably financial stuff, making sure that like we're staying on budget and making sure that we have the cash flow that we need for the upcoming shoots. Like how much is it going to cost? Like how much is it going to, take? And you just want to make sure that all that money's coming in and it's planned. I think in the beginning, it's tough to say because like in the beginning, it's like you're pitching all this stuff and you're like, we know it's going to take this much money to make it. So we know we need the funding or else we can't do it, you know? So that's kind of like a lot of pressure to make sure that part's done properly. But then, yeah, throughout the whole thing, I think it's just financially making sure that it's all good. You want to make sure everybody's paid, and yeah.
You know, it'd be interesting for the listeners. They probably have no idea what are the costs associated with making a snowboard film.
I would like to know. It doesn't have to be this project specifically, but
Well, it depends
it's got to
if
be
it's
so
like-
expensive.
If it's Travis Rice making a movie and you got Red Bull money, I'm sure there's. No. we did it pretty. We did it
was bare
pretty
bones.
tight, you know. Like I booked. Like I knew we were going to be tight on budget, so I booked Airbnbs for the whole crew. Like, you know, we paid for the filmers to be there. You know, we paid for their travel. We paid for us to get there. But the riders were still in charge of like their portion, but I still wanted to make it as cheap as possible. So like I'd book us group housing. So it's like, all right, it's only going to be $500 per rider for 2 weeks, and like try to keep it affordable for everybody. I mean, and they have budgets and stuff too, but and honestly, it was like working with like Jeff Pensiero at Baldface. Like we couldn't have done any of this without him. Like he made it possible for us to do it bare bones cost, because he's not charging us, you know, extra money to profit off of what we're doing, which another company might do. So the fact that we just have really good relationships with all these people, and we were able to negotiate, even with our filmers, you know, like if you're creating a commercial in Hollywood, there's a very strict standard of like what filmers get paid and how much their cameras are worth. And like, this is snowboarding. We don't have budgets like that. So it's like, hey, like we're going to go to Japan for, you know, 15 days. Like, can you commit for 15 days for X amount of dollars? And if they're in, they're in. You're like, okay, cool. So we got a budget. You know, it's like just pre-planning all that stuff and trying to be ahead of it, like allows it to, I don't know, not make us go into debt.
Yeah, I can dive in a little bit on that, just as far as like from my perspective of like how fortunate we are to be able to do a project like this when everything comes together just perfectly at the right time. Because like with my vision and what I wanted to do, like for one part of the whole thing was bringing my friend Charles Beckinsale into the backcountry with his snowcat, you know, as far as just a money number on that, to in Canada have a Prenoth Bison X snowcat shipped. You know, it's heavy machinery shipping, like that goes on a giant semi truck and it's shipped across the country up the logging road, and it gets released there for Charles to play with, right? That probably costs, I don't know, 15 grand or something like that. But then we make it work because Charles is my friend and he's actually sponsored by Prenoth, and they help with the cost. They covered like half of it, right? And then the other half, Celia was able to negotiate with one of their marketing people, like, hey, we can make you a video, behind the scenes video extra out of this project that you can have, you know, if you help us with the cost. Okay, so that's just taking care of one sort of line item, right? That just because me and Charles go way back and we have this relationship, and he's like full body yes on this project, and Pensiero is like, fuck yeah, let's do this. You know, everything's just aligning like that just for that portion of the film to take place. And that's just one thing that's like super unique to our project. And then you have somebody like Gabriel Kocher, hands down the best drone pilot on the planet, no question. And I would arguably say in the filming, the FPV filming side of things, you know, we started working together maybe 8 years ago or something like that. And that was the first time snowboarding had ever been filmed with an FPV racing drone in the backcountry. And, you know, later on, like we've done countless projects together, but since then he's blown up to, he's filming for the new Transformers film for a month out in the jungles of Peru. You know, he's getting hired by National Geographic, and he's building the first ever dual op racing drone that can carry a red camera. This thing is a weapon, you know, like, and then if you just think about that for a second, like homie's not going to be cheap anymore. Like he's the main drone pilot for Natural Selection. You know, like he's a busy guy. But he's not going to charge us 50 grand to come on the shoot. but he could at something else. But we don't have that money. I mean, like, but he's just his passion and his friendship, and he's not just doing that sidebar, like of all the whole entire soundtrack. Anytime you hear a guitar on the soundtrack of Return, that's Gab, and he flew out last summer just to record music, and he's just an amazing human being. Shout out Gab.
I mean, really, we pulled all of this off because of our great relationships over the years. Like, the cost to make a snowboard film, like if somebody just came in to say like, hey, we want to do this and we want to build this park and go to Alaska, like it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know? And we were able to do this really bare bones based off of relationships that we've built over, you know, a lot of them are with Tor and his friends for 20 years. And like, that was kind of the beauty of this movie was it's like, hey, we want to go in and do this, but we can only do it if everybody's part of it. Mm-hmm. And everybody was so down. Like, they all knew, you know, like they know it's just a snowboard film. Like, you know, I'm not going to tell people's day rates, but like people were like willing to work with us to be like, all right, yeah, I can do it for this. Like I can make this window happen. I'll give you that time. And like, we're just really honored to have that. And I mean, there was certain components like with Baldface, you know, like we had a guide, Hayden Manny, with us for the whole time. And you got to pay for his day rate, and it's just part of the whole process. But yeah, so it was, I don't know. We got really, really lucky that we were able to pull all this off the way we did.
We're just really grateful for that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize on that too. Like this is one very specific way of making a snowboard film. And you can go out with your phone and make a snowboard film these days. And I encourage anybody that wants to do that to go do that and go film in the streets. Snowboarding doesn't have to cost anything. You can get a hand-me-down. You can get equipment. You can go out with your homies. You can go on foot anywhere. This is why we wanted to go to Japan too, because we can just showcase like how much you can get done on foot, where you don't need a helicopter, you don't need a snowmobile. And then the contrast is obviously Valhalla. But there's a million different ways of making a snowboard film. There's an infinite amount of different ways to make a snowboard film and to snowboard in general, and it's amazing. But this is just how I realized how lucky we were to be in the position we were at last season, and that we know Mons, we know Mikey, we know Davis, we know Raibu. You know, we have like a co-card, like he's a gem, you know. We just have this group of people, and that was a huge part of the intention behind the project, to bring all these unique, amazing human beings together, and with Nori and Tim Manning and Craig and Gab behind the lenses, and Celia shooting the whole thing, and we doing everything together. You know, the first trip to Japan, we're we realized pretty quickly too, as far as like the money went, you know, we pitched all the companies super early, but this is snowboarding. Most of them are snowboarding companies. Nobody's going to pay on time. So we didn't really get paid through until like at least halfway through the season, which meant that we had to put up everything up front, you know, and this is back to the financial stress and the Patreon question of what was the most challenging part of the whole thing, is basically when we're starting to go into credit card debt halfway through, because we needed to. Like,
we did have some money showing up early. We did, but it takes a while, and like I was like, okay.
But this was the reality of the situation, right? Like at one point we were in credit card debt because we didn't want Tim or Gab or all these people that we hired to entrust in us to like be waiting for to get paid for work that they'd already done and signed up for. Like we could take it, so we took that on, trusting sort of that the money will come in and we will get paid in the end. But that was by far the most stressful thing, you know, because we chose it all. We chose to do a project like this. We chose to, you know, we had this vision and this strong drive to do it in a certain way that was really important to me and Celia. And we sort of, there was a point of no return. We had to just go for it because we believed so strongly in the process, and we really wanted to make something unique and different that was like screaming like, this is what we're capable of. in this time and place on this planet to do at this time that nobody else can do like we can. Not saying it's better or worse than anything else. It's just unique to us, and we have this amazing opportunity to do this, and we just decided to do it, and then there was no backing down.
Hopefully that answered Jenny's question.
Yeah, I think I probably did it.
that was incredible.
Yeah, very well said.
I got another hard-hitting question for you guys. And this is from Jeff Pensero. Pensiero, however you want to say it. JP.
He calls me Torstein all the time, so it's all
right.
good.
Saddle up for this one, guys. Here we go.
Hey, Bombhole listeners. It's Jeff from Baldface with a quick question for Celia and Torstein. Working together on that last project, Return, was so incredible and so many moving parts and such a weird year with weather. We put it off, then you went to the natural selection, we built it, then you came back. I was wondering if you have any tips for other couples who work together that you guys use to be so successful and chill about working on big projects together. It was super impressive. I certainly know how hard that is. And I really want to give you a shout out as a couple because you guys work together so well. How do you do it? What's the secret to your success? Love you both. Look forward to working on our next project together. Chris, keep up the great work. Talk to you guys later. Look forward to the answer.
I cook, she cleans.
Boom, there you have it.
That's true. Yeah.
That's it? That's the
That's
key?
it. That's all you need to know.
She handles the power tools. I hold the stuff wrong.
Every great couple's got it set up like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I fart and get yelled at, and I got to go do it somewhere else.
This is wisdom.
This is the
These are
inside
facts
info,
getting
yeah.
dropped.
This is how you do it.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah. Please do.
Please.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I mean, first of all, Jeff
love
is
you.
like, he's such a little kid and he's such an enthusiast for snowboarding. And like when Tor called him in the beginning and told him the idea, he was like the first call and he's like, yeah, stoked, whatever you need, like anything. Like there was no question from him about, like he was just all hands on deck to help us. So just people like that in snowboarding are so valuable and just important for us. Like they're not trying to get something out of it for themselves. They just want to provide. So yeah, thank you, Jeff. But I think for Tor and I, like we have such a unique upbringing separately and they're very parallel as far as like, he's got a very strict creative vision on like what he like envisions and what he sees. And I'm like, cool. Like, well, what do you need to make that happen? Like I have that background as a producer. So I just like, I kind of knew I could.
We both thought sitting at school and having to sit down at school is complete bullshit. And we didn't want to be there at all.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I think we just had unique skills that we were like, we can do this. Like I knew what he needed to do to make the movie happen, to direct it, to do his vision. I was like, what can I do to support that? So I think just listening and being able to understand each other is important. I mean, it wasn't perfect. We definitely had times where we were just like, oh my God, what are we doing? Like, this is crazy. But yeah, it was, I don't know. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, it did. Play to your strong suits is kind of what I heard.
Yeah.
I can take it to another level.
Let's do it.
Well, I think what we've come to an understanding to in our relationship where we realize like no matter what we do and no matter what the project is or not project or just life in general, like there's going to be work for us to do that we bring out of each other. That when we have, because we have amazing times and we have difficult times and challenging times and we have arguments where things come out of each other. We bring things out of each other that needs attention and need work. And then we have this, no matter how hard it gets, we have this understanding that that it's supposed to come up. It's supposed to be hard because if it wasn't hard, we wouldn't learn anything. We wouldn't grow from it. And then, so we're sort of like each other's medicine in that way where we know that there's, like the easy way would be to like, if you have a hard argument or a series of them, to just run away and just give up and just, bail, you know, which we've had the opportunity to do that a bunch of times. But we've chosen to stick it through and stick it in because there's something to learn and grow from. And then every time that happens and we have that realization, you know, when things calm down, we just feel that we get a little stronger. And we just build another brick on this powerful house of our relationship. And then when something comes around like this idea to make return, that work continues. It doesn't get put aside. Like it might even get amplified, you know, doing a project together. Then we're going to be spending even more time with each other, which is like we're really fortunate to be able to do. But the work and the spiritual work and all this stuff is sort of overarching everything at all times, but we're aware of that. And we know that it's happening. So then when that needs attention and like we sort of have moments of like, fuck, this is so much. Like I just want to back down. Like this isn't good, you know, like everything feels wrong and stuff. And we're just almost there. We're almost punching through to the next level. And then we do, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad we were sticking it out. You know, we're just growing stronger together. And I think that's just a realization that we are really lucky to have. That I don't know. I think most couples you see that are happy together, like they sort of work in the similar way, where it's like everything becomes about that sort of.
If you can make a movie together, you can stay together.
A true test.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, too, just hanging with you guys in Costa Rica, you know, both you guys made me feel so welcome and you're so on it. You're like, oh, you need food? We'll go here. You pick us up from the airport. You know, you're taking care of us. And, you know, you guys are, you know, I think you take care of each other really well and you take care of your friends really well, too. And I just want to commend you guys for that. And I have a huge test of your guys' relationship right now.
Yeah, even harder than a movie.
This is harder than a movie. This is actually run through a wall trivia. And we're going to see how you guys do.
Welcome to Run Through a Wall Trivia.
You both have buzzers located behind your heads on the shelf behind you. You're going to need those.
Do we move them?
Yeah, get it right in front of you.
I don't know about this.
Okay, so we're doing run through a wall trivia. Silk, why don't you walk us through the parameters of this thing?
Yeah, we do have some rules. The first and most important rule is if you get a question wrong, we strongly encourage you to do a run through a wall smelling salt. It's not required, but we would like it. But we do take no for an answer. Anywho, Chris is going to read the questions. You can buzz at any time, but when you buzz, he will stop reading. So you better be confident when you buzz. And if you get it right, I'm going to put a little tally mark down for you. This is a competition.
Again, the winner is awarded with nothing.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you get nothing, but it will be intense.
Okay. A lot riding on this. Your relationship could be hinging on these
Are
answers.
these snowboard questions or
Yes,
these
they're all
relationship
snowboard
questions? Okay.
Okay, what female rider won a gold medal at the Salt Lake City Olympics in halfpipe?
Kelly Clark?
That's correct. What rider hit the Baker Road Gap at night and took a self-portrait while doing it? Press it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
that's your buzz.
That's
Oh.
just the sound it makes. Don't worry
It's
about
a
it.
depressing sound.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Not Mikey, is it?
Yes.
Passage?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
correct.
Nice.
You asked it in the form of a question, too. This isn't Jeopardy. You do
but
not
we
need
will
to do
accept that.
Name one of the founders of Genius Snowboards.
Kevin Jones?
That's correct. That is correct. What is Pat Bridges' nickname?
The eye.
That's correct. You guys are on fire, tied up.
Tied up, 2-2.
Wow, this is a
2-2,
barn
close
burner.
game.
This is an intense battle.
It kind of
right now.
feels like we're both winning or like we're doing good. You're doing great.
It's not supposed
You're
to.
doing
it's
great.
not-
What I'm trying to do is pit you
We're
guys against
trying
each
to
other
put
here.
a divide between.
Oh, okay. I'm going to win.
Okay.
There it is.
Yep.
What rider did a frontside 1080 over the pyramid gap in an absinthe video?
Travis Rice.
That's correct.
Wow.
Okay. What rider recently did a 2340 at X Games?
Hiroto.
That's correct. I think Hiroto is an acceptable answer. He goes by Hiroto. His last name is
Yep.
Ogiwara.
Yeah, if
But
he
I
goes
think-
by Hiroto, it's probably acceptable.
Okay. What male rider got second place at the Sochi Olympics in slopestyle?
Did you just say Olympics?
Olympics, yes. The Olympics. In
The
Olympics.
old limp dicks?
Yep.
Wait, can you ask the question again?
Wasn't
Too
it
late.
Oh,
Stale?
That's correct. Oh, she's running away with it.
I
Sorry.
got caught up on, on the
Distracted, sorry.
on the limpness.
Okay. What female rider won the pro class at the most recent Baker Banked Slalom?
No
I
idea.
don't know. Like this year?
This year, yeah. Correct answer is Mary Rand. But you guys didn't technically
Yeah,
say an incorrect answer, so you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't require for that.
Okay,
I
focus
didn't
up.
see any results from that.
We got 4 questions left, so this is coming down to the wire. What is Gimbal God's real name? Who got it?
I'm going Tor.
Spencer Whiting.
That's correct.
Wow.
Who was the first female snowboarder to land a backside 720 in competition? 5, 4.
Maybe Tara? No, I don't know.
Correct. Do you know? Throw a name out there.
Jana Mine.
Correct answer is Tina Bassage. Yeah.
We should have known that.
We're
Tor, you gonna
encouraging.
smack
We're
one?
encouraging you to do.
Yes.
smash.
Tor's all over it.
I'll hit one.
Here we go. Bingo.
Oh my God.
Celia, are you
That
opting
is
out?
crazy.
All right, I'll do one for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Oh, that's good. It's
Thank
a good
you,
batch.
Sil.
It's a good batch.
Okay, what was the name of Sage Kossenberg's signature trick that landed him on the cover of a Wheaties box? Sage's signature trick. I think it's
the
behind
blade.
me.
You can
see
see
it
it,
up
on the fisheye lens, viewers.
Remember, it was highly popularized around the time of the Olympics. 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'm drawing a full blank. I know.
I mean,
know.
I'm gonna say that didn't work. By the way, but it was a back 12 with the weird grab.
Yes.
I just can't remember the name of the grab.
Okay, that's not an incorrect answer, but it's not a correct answer. You don't have to do assault. The name is Holy Crail.
Holy
Grail,
Grail.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Thank God that isn't still going around anymore. That train ended.
How many more questions?
Last
do we have?
question.
Last question. You guys are tied up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys be ready on the buzzer here. I think you guys probably can still both get this. What is Stan's real name? Oh, no. Oh, no.
Laville?
That's his last name.
Oh, his first name's not Stan?
First name's not Stan.
Okay, I got nothing.
No idea.
Is that an
Wow.
that's not really an
Sorry.
incorrect answer. He didn't say.
Well, that's definitely an incorrect answer.
Well, okay.
You buzzed and you get it wrong.
Okay. All right, the correct answer is Justin Lavelle. Laval. I don't know how you say
Why
it.
does he go by Stan? I don't
That was
know.
his. I think that was his alias on Yobeat.
Oh.
I believe he wanted
Yeah.
like a journalistic nickname or something like that.
Congratulations on tying. We were
you guys
trying
tied.
to divide you, but
You can't shake these guys.
Yeah,
It's impossible.
unbeatable.
They're unflappable. Unflappable. I'm gonna take this giant run through wall helmet off and yeah.
Looks so good on you though.
Yeah, it's a shame to see it go.
It's a neck workout.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Again, available at bombhole.com if you're looking for some run through
Get
wall
yourself
salt.
some salt.
All right, big news coming from GoPro. GoPro is awarding $120,000 this winter for Line of the Winter. There is 4 categories. We're talking men's ski, women's snowboard, women's snowboard. There are monthly winners for January, February, March, April for each category. Each take home $5,000 cash. Then there is one overall winner for each category, $10,000 cash. To enter, all you need to do is submit your raw POV to gopro.com/awards. And there's a standalone category for women's this year. And I've been hearing there's not that many submissions, so a lot of opportunity to take home some big money. Also, I'm going to be a judge along with Gaffney, Ingrid, Elena, and Sage. So again, check out gopro.com/awards and submit your POV video today.
All right, we're going to take a quick intermission here to talk to you about our good friends over at Pub Beer, who just happen to be the official beer of questionable decision-making and cheap fun. That's right. You heard it here first. Whether you're just having a couple, maybe you're watching the game, Pub Beer's a great option. Cheap fun. Maybe you need 50. Did you just get dumped? Pub Beer's got you covered. Cheap fun every time. Pub Beer.
All right, let's keep this gravy train moving here. One thing you talked about is you are the photographer, or were the photographer, this return project. You've since sharpened your teeth, Celia, as a photographer. But how did you get your foot in the game as a photographer, and how did that develop?
When I started working for the production company, I would sometimes be running second angle on cameras. I would shoot behind the scenes stuff. I don't know. It kind of naturally, like I always was interested in cameras, but for me, it was always like still stuff. And I think maybe it was more from working with photographers in snowboarding. Like a lot of my friends were photographers, and I had good relationships with all the people I worked with. And I was always like fascinated with like what they were doing and how they were doing it. And yeah, so just kind of like, I don't even remember why I bought my first camera, but I was just like, I need a camera. Like I need to have my own. And yeah, I was shooting stuff on production, and then I started to pick up some of my own jobs. I was shooting on my own, so I'd like go shoot with a lot of skateboarders, and I had a good friend who's a BMX rider, Angie Marino. She's like one of the Vans riders. I met her at Woodward East. Got to I just started shooting with different types of action sports athletes, and I really enjoyed it because it was new from snowboarding. So it just evolved, I guess.
So from there, how did your photography career develop?
I think I just kind of combined everything that I'd learned from being a rider in front of the lens, working in production and understanding like what companies need as far as commercials or creating content. And I started shooting on my own. Like I was shooting action sports just because it was what I knew and it was like good practice. But then I'd get jobs for like certain commercial work. Like, you know, I got a small little job for Vans shooting like a BMX anniversary edition stuff because like Angie was like, oh, I want to work with Celia, love to have her. So the relationships like evolved into jobs, and it wasn't like I was searching for them. And I really love that about snowboarding because like every job that I've ever had is because I met somebody, we had a great relationship, it developed into something else, and like it's not like a career that was planned, you know? It's just such a unique way to like make money doing something you like and with people that you love. And like I worked for a ski brand as an unofficial like creative director, like creating all of their content for a year. So I had done a commercial with them, and then they were like, hey, we need somebody more full-time. Would you want to come on board? And I was like, sure, like I could work full-time remote, you know, like. And all of a sudden I had this like full-time job creating content for one brand and like learning about how their internals worked and what they needed and like where all this content was going. And like, it's just a big ecosystem of like what needs to happen. So it's, again, I had no schooling, but like you just step by step learn along the way. And I mean, even after that, like I randomly got asked to come on a shoot in Aspen, and I met this CEO from a tech company, and he was starting, he was launching like a, you know, it's like a checkout program, it's a checkout system, but he wanted to use action sports athletes to create content around it. And he was like, would you want to come on and build this team? And I was like, yeah. So I got hired as, you know, their team manager and creating all the content around this action sports team for a tech company that had crazy budget. You might have seen their snowmobile at the top of the NST.
I do remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was like an activation that I did. Like I made sure that sled was there. I made sure that those QR codes were there working. We did giveaways to get people used to the technology. And yeah, it was like these jobs that I got myself into, I was super not qualified for as far as like schooling and paper. But like I knew I had the experience. As soon as they asked me, I was like, yeah, I can do all that. Like I can build a team. Like if you have budget, like what do you want? Like we need content.
Fast ended a couple months after that, and we did get to keep the snowmobile.
Really?
Yeah.
It started fast and ended fast. Like the tech world is wild. Yeah, they have all kinds of crazy fundraising things, and when the economy dips and they don't get their fundraising, and you get they're spending $10 million of like cash on employees
bad.
per month.
Yeah, not bad.
That ain't bad.
You get a free
And-
sled.
Yeah, free. So that's a small line item on that 10 milli.
Yeah, not much.
But they didn't get their fundraising. They ran out of money, and 500 people lost their jobs in one day. So it was kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
But I didn't care because I was like on this program where I'd been freelancing for so long, and I was like, it was such an amazing ride. And like all of a sudden working in this huge corporate company setting where like the lawyers in the company and the like, the financial people were like, you want to put a snowmobile where? Like, no, we can't get insurance for that. And I was like, no, we will. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, it was so beyond what they were used to. And it was, so I don't know, it was a learning experience for me, but I was so, like, none of these experiences would have happened if I hadn't have met all these amazing people through snowboarding. And like, I don't know, I guess for anybody listening out there who's loves snowboarding, but maybe isn't going to be like the next best pro snowboarder, like, it doesn't matter if you follow those paths. Like if you love skating, you love snowboarding, you love surfing, like you're going to meet so many amazing people and there's going to be so many opportunities along the way that like you might not know that you like photography or music or art, but you might discover it through that. And like, it's just these passions that kind of like work together. And I just think it's the coolest thing because I would not be here right now if it wasn't for any of that stuff. So.
Yeah. And there's always a need for it, even in tech companies where like there's a CEO that's like, I really like this stuff. I really like snowmobiling. I really like snowboarding and skateboarding, like as a fan, but has no because these are really communities that are built by people like, yourself and Celia and myself. And she can actually call upon her skater friends that live out in Cali and like, hey, you guys want to do this thing for a tech company and like just go for a shoot one day? And they're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that was the first thing they hired me for. They were like, we want to do some content around skateboarding. I was like, okay, cool. Like what kind of content? They're like, we don't really know. We just want some cool skateboarding and like clips for Instagram. And I'm like, okay, well, like
skateboarding is
like, the skate scene is like one of the hardest ones to like, they're very particular about anything that goes out publicly. And I get it. It's like for good reason. They're, the gatekeepers of their sport, but they wanted to put product on them and get them to ride. And so like, I was like, all right, well, we got to do this in a way where like, they're okay with it because most guys will not just put on a shirt that says fast and rock it down the street. But I made some calls and I got I put together a crew and we went out and shot. And like, again, this is where like production comes in. I built it out the budget. I was like, it's going to cost this much. We need this many people. This is how much content you're going to get out of it. They're like, okay, perfect. Didn't even blink an eye. Gave me the money. I was like, all right, let's do it. And then after that, I knew they were going to need more content. I was like, why don't you guys just hire me full time and I'll build this team? And like they had already kind of asked me about it, but I was like, instead of parting it out like piece by piece, like let's do this for real. And so, yeah.
I want to take a second and just highlight how non-linear your path has been. And it's really cool. You think about you hop on the Greyhound bus, you move to Colorado with 2 nickels rubbed together, and then you're working at a restaurant, and then you become a pro snowboarder, and then you start your own boutique clothing store that's successful, that funds your snowboard career, and then you work on production companies, and then you're working at a tech company doing, then you're shooting photos, and then, which brings me to the next chapter or topic, I guess, which you guys could both probably tee up on, is you were the first ever female judge of X Games as well, correct?
Yeah, I had been judging for a while. I don't know how I did all this. This has been going on for like 20 years, it's been a big span, but I had always been friends with a bunch of the judges, and I was always like, same with the photography. I was always asking them questions on like how they were making decisions and what they were doing. And I think it was Guillaume Morissette was like, you should just like start judging, like you can get into it. And so I did. I started like doing local USASA events, and I went and got my FIS license, which I ended up not really using and didn't really want to be part of. But I started doing rev tours, and then at one of the FIS clinics, Tom was there, the head judge of X Games and Do Tour, and he was like, I forget what the scenario was, but something went down and nobody knew what the trick happened. Like they play runs on the screen, and you do steno practice, and you like, do practice scoring, whatever. And no, everybody missed the trick. And Tom turned around. He's like, Celia, what was that trick? And I can't remember who it was, but it was a switchback 12. And I was like, it was a switchback 12. And he's like, okay, can we replay that? And like, I knew what I saw, but everybody else was not paying attention. And so he was like, all right, you're sharp. You got it. And that year he invited me to do tour. He's like, you want to come to do tour? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. So I kind of like, I don't know if that hadn't happened, I would have gotten in there, but I think he kind of knew I was really good at keeping my stenos clean and keeping my notes, which are really important when people come back and complain and they want to know what's wrong. And you're like, oh, well, you kind of came up short on this trick, or you landed, super far right and had to cut back. It wasn't very clean, like whatever it was. Like
For the people that don't know, you have to justify your scoring with reasons why you gave each jump. Is that what a steno is?
Yeah. Your steno is like shorthand on the runs. And so like, there's no standard for it, but some people are really good at writing steno. Some people are really good at just remembering. Like I've worked with, like even Guillaume Morissette, like he doesn't write a lot down, but he remembers every run. Like he can just recall stuff. I can't do that. I have to like write every single piece down, and then I look at my paper and it's like watching the run for me. So I can be like, oh yeah, I remember they landed kind of like low here, or they, kind of hand drag, like whatever it is. Like sometimes those little differences, if I didn't make a note, I won't remember. So like if somebody comes up and complains and I have it on paper, I'm like, oh, well, this is what I saw. And a lot of times the writers won't remember, like it's a tough spot to be in because like, I don't know, when you're making tough calls and people, like it really matters to those guys. And like, yeah, when they come up and they're upset, they don't remember necessarily what they did. And like, if you don't have a replay in front of you, you can't show it to them, but I have my notes and I don't write stuff down that I didn't see happen, so it's kind of like my black book.
I want to just highlight something about judging. I was talking to a judge at Snow League. They're mentioning, they're like, yeah, the pace shit. Everybody hates you, and nobody cares if you get it right.
Yeah.
Why be a judge? Why be a judge? Like, honestly.
I don't know. I thought it was like, for me, it was kind of a challenge. You're like trying to like, it's like this mathematical equation of like placing people and making sure like it comes out right. And I think maybe just being a snowboarder, I feel like almost responsible. Like I want to make sure there's somebody good back there that's like going to make the right call, that really, really cares. And like, again, I was only doing a few events like a year, I did do a lot like early when I started, but I was only doing like Do Tour and X Games and a couple Rev Tours. And so like I was still had other jobs. It wasn't like, like you're not going to make money being a judge, like, which is too bad, because if there was more of a tour and a career and solid pay, you could have people who were like, I don't want to shit on anybody, but like you could have a crew that's really trained and should be there year round,
and respected. And
they're, I don't know, there's a whole.
I do think the judges I think they're respected. I just think people get hot on like, it's an objective sport, right? It's subjective rather. It's subjective. So you could argue things 5 different ways and everybody's right, really, depending on how you look at it. But Tor, you were a judge at the most recent X Games, right?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was interesting. Yeah, Celia got the flu on the way to X and had to just stay in her hotel room the whole entire time. So she called me, like, help. And I just was able to just come down and take over, But that was my first ever event that I've ever judged.
You've come in though and watched and seen how it works.
And I know your process, and she after every event that she does, we talk about it, and like, oh, this call was hard and this was, really nice and all this stuff. But it was, I didn't want to like be too focused on the steno part, because I didn't want to have that for me. Like, I'm not that fast of a handwriter, so I didn't want that to take away from just my eyes on the screen and focused. And like, I didn't want to miss anything. So like, I kind of just, Benji was there too, and he was really good at steno, so I could kind of like just copy his answers afterwards. But that's just as far as like, she's right. Like, it's nice to have on paper what everybody's doing as far as tricks. So it's like, if you do need to go back and compare. And X is cool too, because there's always a person there where like during breaks and stuff, you can ask this guy who's kind of at the spokes of the screens and to like pull up, hey, what did Mons do on run number 2, hit number, on the second jump? And he like pulls it right up, and then you can watch it again and compare if you needed to like back up on something. I thought it was cool because I had never, looked at everything from like watched a contest in that way and been on that side of the screen before. So I thought it was
different when you have to watch every single run and put scores to it than when you're just watching an event at home on your TV.
It's a whole different thing. It's like critical watching. Yeah. You're just like really in there.
And nowadays, I feel like all the national teams, the coaches, I've heard stories from a lot of judges about, riders and coaches coming in hot, yelling at you guys. Have you experienced that?
Oh, yeah. I've been yelled at. I'm not going to name names, but I've been yelled at X Games for sure. But it's emotionally driven, and like there's people who are always biased. Like to me, when we're making calls, especially at X Games, there's I think in the last 6 years since I've been there and since Tor's been there, like all the calls have gone really, really well. Like there's always going to be 1 or 2 that are opinionated, and like you could ask 20 people and 10 are going to say, no, I thought that person should have won. And 10 are going to say, no, I thought that person should have won. And whoever won that day, I'm okay with that call because that's a subjective opinion. And like on that day, like we struggle too, we'll be like, shit, this was like this and this was like this. Okay, but he went a little bit higher here. Okay, but he did this here, he grabbed here. Like you're going back and you're checking and you're checking and you're checking. And then you're like, okay, well, what felt better? Like this felt like, it just felt good, So sometimes you just make calls based off of that. And like, it doesn't mean that like one person could be completely even, but you have to make a call on that day. So I'm okay with calls like that versus calls where it's like, you could ask anybody who watched and they're like, how did that person beat that,
Yeah.
How did X beat Y or whatever? Like when that's a situation, like that's just a wrong call. So, and that's just a really hard thing to like explain to people. I don't know. But so when people come up and yell at you, like, I get it. They're in that person's corner, or it's like a coach in that corner, or a rider's upset, like, and they're defending themselves. And like, we try to do our best to explain, and like, you better have a damn good reason to explain why you made that choice, And sometimes that's just how it goes. Like, it's not an easy spot to be in. Like,
of all the
sucks.
events, from a judge's perspective, which one's the hardest to call?
USASA, age 10 to 12. There's 400 kids. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I did 2 years of USASA nationals. That's the most insane thing. Like, I won't ever do
Timmy
that.
went on the knuckle, and then Lars came off the knuckle like 2 feet further.
Yeah.
It's
like straighter, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. You're just like, oh God. Okay.
Sounds
Was
like
he
my run in the
34th or was he?
It sounds like Silk. Silk's got his silver medal hanging up behind him from USASA.
Very recent.
I thought you
Not
were
when I
for
was
sure
10.
going to say big air.
Oh, you mean events?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like
events. That
like
does sound
X
harder than
Games.
big air. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, slopestyle is the hardest because it's the most things happening in the longest segment, and especially at X Games, like they don't care. They give you 15 seconds to put a score in, and most of the time you're pretty prepared. But when it comes down to debating, and you're like, you guys need to shut up. Like, we need to look at this. Like, I don't give a shit that you have a commercial coming. Like, like for us, it's most important that we get the call right. But it's usually a pressure situation with time. It has nothing to do with like. It's a lot of stuff to steno, first of all, like stenoing rails and jumps and grabs and all that stuff is a lot. Bigger is high intensity, but it's quick. It's like, and once everybody does their first, like you kind of know what's coming, and it's one hit, and it's like, okay, where was that? Get your score in. Boom, go next.
I think big air was really tough this year because they went back on the format, and it was just one trick. Best trick counts for every rider, where that was completely backwards from a year ago when you had to spin both directions, and there was the style element. Like that sort of clarifies who's the best big air problem in this event, Where when it's just one trick and it's like everybody just do the hardest thing you can in one direction. It's like it just gets so close for everybody, and it's just like just makes it really tough to make a call because everybody's gonna land something.
At female big air this year, you had Mia cab 14, you had Zoe back 14 triple, and then you had
Anna.
Gasser. Yeah, Anna Gasser's won cab 12. I'd love to hear the logic on that, because that one seemed like it was a controversial call from some people's perspective. Cab 12 beating a back 14.
Yeah. I think it was basically like if you watch Zoe's, regular back 14 triples in slopestyle, even just the next day, she went, that's how she usually does them. And it's really corked and really stomped. And that night, for some reason, it seemed like she was getting a little hung up on the takeoff. And you can kind of see her, like, her axis is a little weirder than it normally is for her. As far as like, this is what we know she wants to do, and this is how we know she wants to do it. And then, as far as Mia, she just went a little smaller and let go of her grab a little early on her 14.
And the risk factor.
The risk factor just ended up being like Anna's cab triple was just badass. It was just more impressive, in my opinion. But it was a tough call for sure. It wasn't. She
landed halfway down.
It wasn't. She went big, and she went, and I liked her cab triple 12 as well, because she's not doing it like a 90 triple backflip, 90 degrees. She's like actually spinning it and corking it like Calvin Mutton would have done if he, if he did that. Like, it was just nice. Yeah.
And that new access she's doing is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
That's a short answer, but it was a tough call for sure.
All right, we're going to get into a guest question. This is from a gentleman by the name of Spencer Lane. Do you guys know him?
Spencer.
Here we go.
Hey, SEAL Team 6, this one's for you. You've got maybe some of the dopest style in women's snowboarding, possibly women's surfing. I just want to know, like, where did you find that? How did it come about? How did you cultivate it? What sort of music were you listening to when you were younger? Like, how did this happen? It's so fucking fluid and fun to watch. I don't know. I mean, everybody gets their style from something. Where did you get your style from?
Oh my God. I love Spencer so much. He's like one of the most fantastic human beings. And one of the most stoked human beings. He's like that all the time. That's not an act.
Yep.
Certified.
Yeah. Certified legend.
Yeah.
Is all he is.
No, he's a good friend of ours, and he's a wild child, but just a great guy. I mean, when I started snowboarding and I started working at the Cutting Edge, I worked there for a couple years, and like my schooling was reading magazines there and watching the videos that they had on the walls that we'd play at the shop all the time. And I was also influenced by what a lot of the guys were into. And, at the time, like, the Absinthe films we watched a lot of Absinthe and seeing, I don't.
Favorite Absinthe?
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the first ones I saw was Pop. So like, I watched that movie a lot,
Mm-hmm.
So like if it was in the shop and like we played it a lot, then I remembered it. But MFM was really popular. Like the guys in our shop, like the gangster open jacket, like bigger style was like, so I think I was influenced by that side of things more than anything else. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, MFM's a great person to get your style inspo from. I'll tell you. And it shows.
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't really, I think I just, I don't know where I got my style from, but I like to be smooth and I don't want to look jerky and I want to look, I've never been somebody that wears like super tight stuff. I like to feel like bigger and more comfortable and like, I just like to feel like I'm flowing better. And I would like to say that I feel like I've been a better rider post trying to be a rider than I did when I was trying to be a rider because I stopped caring so much, and I wasn't trying to learn like any tricks. I was just like, I know the tricks I know, and I'm gonna make them awesome, and I just want to enjoy them. And so I think that helps. And Spencer met me in that side of my life, so yeah.
I hear that a lot from people that once they stop being sponsored and start riding, for lack of a better word, more pure, more free, more just for the love, they tend to get better. I've heard that from a bunch of people on this show. And for those listening, if you've watched Return and you see somebody just bagging a line in there with a big old backpack on, you may not know, but it's Celia. I would love to hear about that as well.
Yeah, Return was actually like, I rode probably like 4 or 5 times that whole year during that movie, to be honest, because like so much was happening every day. Like it was too important for me to make sure I was ready to get a shot. So like in Japan, like I hiked up and took 3 runs maybe, and it was just like while the guys were building, I was like, all right, I just got to go up and get a turn. And same in Valhalla, like we weren't riding a ton because like we were snowmobiling out to the zones. And when we get to the zones, it's like we're prepping areas and I'm just getting into position to shoot. So I'm not really riding that much. But our last 2 days of shooting, like we can go into that story. I don't know if he's talked about it before, but the snow road, the cat road had melted out. Like we couldn't get up there anymore. So we had to make the decision to heli in. And so we had 2 days of heli and we luckily working with Jeff, we were able to budget really small windows. Like, okay, how much is it going to cost just to like bump these guys out, and just get the crew there, which we did the first day. But then on the second day, some of the guys were going to go ride that were watching, and Tor was like, can we get an hour of some heli drops? And so like I was just going up there to shoot, and like the guys took their first run. I shot from the top, and then I rode down after them and got into place and shot from the bottom. And then on the second drop, Tor's like, you should take that line. And I was like, what? Like I'm not warmed up or ready, or like I got my pack and like
it's not a light pack.
I was just like, normally like I would die to do that and I would love to do it, but I just felt very ill prepared. But I was like, all right, let's look at it. And we flew by it, twice, and then I got dropped off and Tor went with me, and he's like, I'm looking at him, like he's like, just go turn around the chute, go. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Like, and I just dropped and I was like, please don't tomahawk, like just make it around. And like I made it around the turn and just kind of pointed it out. And my plan was to stop and not continue the ride because I was going to shoot back up at the guys anyways. So I was just like, please don't make a fool of yourself. And yeah, I pulled it off, but
it's a certified line. I didn't even know it was you the first time I watched it. It wasn't until I revisited the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, is that Celia? Holy shit.
Yeah, and I would have preferred to have a lighter pack, but it's okay. I pulled it off. It was good. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of it for sure, but it was
a pack full of Sony glass
back there. It was not in my top physical fitness.
I want to just derail one thing going back to Valhalla. I'd love to hear about the fact that every time I look at those jumps, they remind me of like Pyramid Gap. And the fact that you guys just showed up to this bowl and the mindset of building landings and putting landings where you want them and putting the cheese wedges where you want them, where you built this whole backcountry powder playground. I just want to hear about the inception of that for a second.
Yeah, well, me and Mikey went out in early February to Baldface and met up with Pensiero to go for a scout trip, basically, just to get eyes on. And it was really, really low snow year. I don't know if anybody that was in British Columbia last year remember it was pretty slim, but it was enough for us to get out there and just get on some snowmobiles and get eyes on terrain, because we knew I had a vision of what was possible out there, because we had sort of done this before, like proof of concept. We did this for a film called Light that we released in 2020, where we brought Beckinsale out and built some kickers, but we were super limited on time and we didn't have a winch cat, and it was like late in the season. We didn't even end up hitting like half of the stuff we built, but we knew it was possible. We just wanted to go back and like do it for real, and that was like what me and Celia talked about in the beginning of making the decision to do this project. We wanted to do it right, and this was sort of the cornerstone of the whole thing that we knew would set it apart and make it unique. So me and Mikey go out in February, and we're out there, and we find a couple zones, and I can sort of imagine, like, Mikey was looking at terrain that was already there where you could build kickers like we normally would, but I just kept telling him, like, no, we can build landings too. And he was just blown away, like, what? Like, how? Okay. Like, it's just complete switch of mind frame to, like, get into that mode. It's like, okay, we can do whatever we want. And there was a couple factors that played in. Like, we knew when we were going to be shooting it, it was going to be later in the season, so we had to account for which way the landings were facing as far as keeping them a little bit more north, because when the sun comes out, it can bake really quick and just turn the snow into mush. We wanted it to be like full on, just blower. And then basically 2-3 weeks after that scout trip, and we made our decisions, it started snowing a little bit more, and then Charles came out, and then we all came out for sort of the building portion of it. And we kept riding alongside and doing fun little things and just stayed in the area as well. Mikey and Cont'd was out there, and then later on Mons came out, and then later on Davis came out for the actual shooting portion of it. But yeah, building everything was it didn't go without problems either, you know. We'd have huge snowstorms come in, and we didn't really have enough snow to build everything, and then all of a sudden we get 3 feet overnight, and then the guides at Valhalla, respectfully so, wouldn't let us into the zone to even continue building because the Abbey danger just went up through the roof. And there was this one Abbey path at the entrance of our bowl or our zone where we're building everything, that if that zone ripped, you know, crossing this barrier, like it'd be just an ugly scene. So they didn't let us do that so we had to wait multiple days for the light to clear just enough so they could fly in and drop bombs on these faces, which they do anyways for, you know, their clients, because they're operating on the daily there, taking riders out for, you know, the best powder days of their life out in the Valhalla terrain and their whole, you know, regular cat skiing operation, which the terrain is spicy out there. It's amazing. But then finally it cleared for enough one day for the heli to, and we were going out every day, and they dropped bombs, and this face breaks like a size 3 avalanche, I believe, on that path, and it just ended up giving us enough snow to finish building the last 2 features of our shoot as well, because previously we didn't have enough snow to build those things, and the debris gave us that. So little things like that, you know, blessings in disguise. But when we're not allowed to go out for 3 days and we're sitting there with a really expensive snowcat just sitting, you know, like, because we're paying by the day for this thing to be out there.
And a time limit. It had to leave on a certain day. We were like...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're talking about Charles's cat?
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't there all season. That was just for this project. But it ended up all working out for just exactly how it was supposed to. And I think we all kept like pretty level head. And we asked for that amount of snow too. Like I don't know, I don't want to say we manifested it, but it was like this energy, like we're supposed to be here. Everything's lining up. Like we just have to stick this out. And it just all ended up working out exactly how it was supposed to.
How many days of shooting that final segment is all in that same zone? How many days of actual filming was that?
4, maybe total.
Yeah, like 3.5.
That might be the most productive 3.5 days ever recorded in snowboard history.
And most of it was the last 2 days. Yeah.
I'd say like 80% of it was the last 2 days. Because the first 2 days were sort of test days too. My plan too was like, okay, we're building all these massive features that have never been here and are never going to be here again. And we want to make them as dream-like fantasy park adventure time as possible. So my intention was like when we're done building them, we're going to get a storm, which we got, and we're going to test everything, and we're going to hit everything and film that. And then it's going to snow again, and then we're going to get to hit everything again. So because usually in backcountry snowboard films, you know, you see these jumps that people go back to season after season, and they get to rebate things, you know. But this wasn't the case here, so we wanted to like create that, like that rebate ability. Just to, if there was something left unspoken for, or a trick that wasn't landed, then we'd get a second chance, you know? So that was really cool. And in the meantime as well, we would be filming on just surrounding terrain and natural stuff as well. So we kept snowboarding a lot, you know, which was really cool for me and Mikey during that time, just dedicating that much time into this project. Like, we still kept riding a lot and just having a ton of fun. And then me and him would go out 2 hours away to Revelstoke for natural selection, and he takes the W, and then we come back and finish the project. It was like just dream scenario. Yeah.
Okay, people, we're going to talk to you about Goodr. We're talking sunglasses, Sunny G's. Cheap, affordable, high-quality sunglasses, starting at only $25 a pair. You got a 1-year warranty and 30-day return policy. Who wants to spend $200 on a pair of sunglasses when you can spend $25? You get a whole bunch of them and lose them and still have 5 extras. That's what I like about it. They're lightweight and comfortable, 100% polarized, no slip, no bounce. They got all different types of styles and colors. They got speed shades. They got OGs. Lots of sleek looks on there. And they're designed for everyday use, or if you want to get sporty, grab some Goodrs. I like to wear mine when I'm splitboarding on the skin trail, you know, eating some granola, throwing the sunnies. You're feeling good. And because they're affordable, and if you're like me, you can lose them and just buy another pair. You don't feel bad about it. If you need a pair of sunnies, Goodr is giving Bombhole listeners free shipping. You can go to goodr.com/bombhole and use promo code bombhole for free shipping. Goodr offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's goodr.com/bombhole and use promo code bombhole for free shipping. All right, people. We're talking nicotine pouches right now. We're talking Lucy Breakers. They're 100% nicotine, no tobacco. And they got a little nug in there, a little capsule. You pop it, it's a bit of a flavor blast. I quite enjoy it. They also have a subscription plan if you just want nicotine pouches delivered right to your front door. Easy peasy. I personally like the berry citrus flavor. I go 8 milligrams on them. And I love them with a cup of coffee in the morning. I hate to say it. I love to hammer these things. So check out lucy.co and use promo code BOMBHOLE and you'll get 20% off your order. They got a 30-day refund policy if you don't like it. Again, that's lucy.co, promo code BOMBHOLE for 20% off your order. And also, one thing to know is that Lucy products are only for adults of legal age. Every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. One thing I'd love to hear you guys both speak on is if you think about snowboarding and you think about our culture and our community, there's kind of this unwritten rule book of snowboarding, right? Of what's acceptable. You know, these are the songs you use in a snowboard video. This is how it's filmed. This is how it's edited. These are the clothes you wear. These are deemed safe and approved via the unwritten rule book of snowboarding, right? And you see a lot of copy-paste videos that all look the same. And if you take a look at Return, what I deeply admire about what you guys did is you guys took a creative risk. The soundtrack, the way it's edited, everything kind of feels like it's in its own lane. And I would love to hear you guys talk about taking creative risks with this project.
Well, I just want to say that this is mostly Tor, and Tor's been like that his whole career. He's like, he doesn't really care what anybody else is thinking, you know, and he wants to push the boundary. And I think it's also just for his own mental, because like doing the same thing for him is too boring. So he wants to do something different. And I think you like pushing people's buttons too a little bit. So it's not hard for you to do, but like, yeah, I think he can speak on like the creative part, but it's just, if you followed his career, he's always kind of been on that forefront of just, I don't even know if you do it on purpose, but like you just want to do your own thing your own way and you don't care how anybody else is doing it. And you're also perfectionist with like how you want every shot to look and like the quality of each shot. Like, and that's something that Tor cares about, you know, like that's why he wants to have the best red cameras out there that are 8K that can film, you know, super slow motion so that we can punch in and get these insane moments. Like, but that's his personal style. And with the music, you know, of course that's his too. So I'll just tee that up for you. So you don't have to talk about yourself too much, but.
Yeah, I think there's always like I'm not trying to go too far outside of the box. There's like, obviously my influence from all the movies I grew up on are still there and live and well. This is what inspired me to find the drive to go where I wanted to go, and all the things that inspired me along the way, like, are mostly from snowboard films that I ended up being fanatic about, from Absinthe to Standard Films to Mac Dog, you know, all these things. Like, we have there's influence for sure. But there's like, I just got to a point where I was able to hire my own filmer and start, you know, just exploring doing something a little differently, just because it was fun and convenient and new, and just always, okay, what can we do that's different? And just having that as a practice is like, and like more like I don't want to call it a mantra, but just like it just became natural, you know, from doing all these SHREDBOTS films and making all these vlogs or little edits, park edits. Like, we've just done so much where naturally, like, if we did it the same every time, it wouldn't feel right. It would just not be as rewarding. Just doesn't feel good. And music has been with me the entire time, but it's just sort of been behind the scenes and something that's been very personal to me and close to my heart, and just something I've kept tight. And that's also like something that Celia's helped bring out of me, like, because she's actually listening to my music and telling me like, no, you should share this, you know, like it's good. And just having that confirmed, and also, I think I have to give a lot of gratitude to the plant medicines that I work with and the different practices that I've adopted in my life as well, as far as opening me up to not being afraid anymore as well, to just share something different and put out something that feels good, that isn't based on, okay, what is everybody else doing, you know? Because I don't think that's good. I don't think that's healthy, because we're all born different. We're all born unique, and we have a unique set of skills, and I think there's nothing wrong with letting that shine, you know, and just be a bright spot and inspiring people to do the same for themselves, which, again, hasn't been like my intention or anything, but I think that's just a natural part of the process when you do put out something that's original and that feels good because it's different, and you work hard at it to make it just right without asking too many people like, hey, what do you think about this? Or posting something on TikTok that is a platform designed for trends and copycat culture, where the whole thing is based on doing this thing that's trendy, and you should do that too. Do this, like everybody do the same thing.
Well, and can I jump in with kind of a directional question?
Yeah.
But like, this was the first time, this was such a personal project for you, and you've had so much experience making movies, and you've also edited a lot of your own vlogs and things and worked with your editors like side by side in the past. But this was the first time that you directed this. You were a writer in it. You decided to take on the editing, and you decided to put the music to it. And so like, that's a really unique space, because not that there's anything wrong with it, but most people have maybe a dedicated filmer or filmers, and then that footage is handed off to an editing team, and then that team picks music. But it's not one person making all of those decisions, which is a ridiculous workload that Tor took on. But I think that's one of the things that made Return that unique, because I don't know anybody's ever done that before to that scale. So maybe you can just kind of speak on that too.
Yeah, I think I just naturally started treating it as this like one giant art piece, like one just solid big painting or something like that. And we did have deadlines too, and we were starting to get like a little crunched on time, but that can sometimes help the creative process of just like staying in the saddle or just staying in the tunnel, which I wouldn't have been able to do if it wasn't for Celia taking care of everything else on the logistical side and speaking to the partners and like making sure we're on track and booking all the premiere tours and all the dates and everything that went into that. It was a huge workload, but she allowed me to stay in my tunnel there creatively, which I needed to be in order, especially with the music, because the music is really fucking hard to explain. But my process was that is 100% I have to get away from my thoughts and my ego. I have to enter a different space completely in order to create that and sort of become this satellite dish or this like magnet for downloads and ideas that just keep, it sort of becomes this thing where if you're a musician, if you're a guitar player or anything like that, you know what the zone is. But my process of making music is a bit more, I would call it on the, you had Peckman on? He's I'd be, why am I blanking on his name? The Canadian kid who's a stone.
Oh, Ben Poachman.
Peckman.
Yeah, Ben Peckman. Yeah, you're right.
Isn't it pronounced Peckman?
It is Peckman. You're right.
Yeah, you had Peckman on. And he's a stone carver. He's an artist and painter as well. Amazing guy. But my process with music is more like I'm chipping away at it. Like it's like stonework. You know, it takes a long time, and you're sort of like carving out this thing. And I'll create a bunch of layers and sounds and melodies and chords and drums and record all this stuff and like sort of build this thing up, and then I start chipping away at it, and I come back to it, and I come back to it. And when I was editing the movie at the same time, I was sort of in this tunnel of like, okay, what's flowing here? I can make changes. Okay, I'm editing the Valhalla segment, for example, and now I know what I need to make change for the song, you know, like and I'll go make an adjustment there and come back to the edit, and it's just like this, I'm just picking away at this giant piece, and there's so many angles to it, and there's so much that goes into it, but I needed to stay in that flow for a very long time, and that's the first time I've ever done it. It was the first time I was ever able to take it on and actually just even get to the point where I'm like, no, I think I can do it like this, and I think it's meant to be done like this. I think I've actually been preparing for this my entire life. And it was once I had that realization, and then it was one of the songs that just came through, like, it was actually the name of the movie. It's called Return. And it was the first song I started to build, and it was the first song I wrote after we came home from this season, and we returned home, and I just woke up. We had the most blissful, amazing morning, me and Celia, just like the sun was out, and we just had this peace, like we had all the footage in the bag, and I just put my hands to the keys, and I started playing this thing, and I recorded it, and it just felt so nice and easy, and there's no thought to it, just playing music. But I ended up recording it, and then later on I came back to that, and I started building that track for this segment, and I was like, and then I went in on the edit, and I kind of started at the end and worked my way back, and then I showed Celia, and then we were like, holy shit, let's book the Opera House. Let's get it. And that too just came together, so it was the only venue that was available for those dates. We couldn't have picked any other date with the timeline we had, and it just worked like magic. It was amazing, and we got 1,000 people to show up, and you were there, and we just wanted the people. We didn't want people to like watch this thing in a club, because it meant a lot to us, and there was a lot of medicine behind it, and then I had a lot of help from that realm of things and guiding me through this whole process, and I just wanted that. I wanted people to be able to have a little bit of that experience watching it, because we knew we were sitting on something that had a different quality to it than anything we've done in the past. And it just kept progressing like that. And from even just the middle segment, you know, and just starting fun and light with just catboarding and me and Mikey just taking turns, like just having fun goofing off on our snowboards and making that a thing. But then you're seeping into this journey. That's just, it just had this flow to it that we really wanted to share with people in the right way. And it's, everything was happening all at once, man. Like, there's this, if you don't mind me sharing.
Sure.
Okay, so a week before deadline, which our deadline was getting on an airplane to go to Norway for the first premiere at the IMAX theater. I just woke up one morning and I just had this feeling. And it was just like this, I wonder if something's different today. And I walked downstairs and Celia has this weird look on her face. And I was like, and then she runs away. I'm like, Okay, and I go upstairs and I come back down. And she comes back to me again after coming to the bathroom. She's like, guess what? And I'm like, you're pregnant. And she's like, yeah.
Then we just both fell on the floor laughing.
And we just started
oh my God.
dying laughing. I was jumping up and down. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, just now? Like, why now? It was just the absurdity of everything happening all at once. And it was just so perfect at the same time. And just the most beautiful moment of chaos, too, because we were about to enjoy, like, go on this journey. And she's starting to feel nauseous as fuck. And it's just, like, insane. And we have so much work to do. And then now this gets, like, tossed on top of everything. And it was just the most amazing news. And then we went on the premiere tour.
And I'm on stage introducing the riders, like smiling and being like, I'm not sick at all. This is great. But we didn't tell anybody because it was early. And so none of the riders knew. And yeah, but the whole time we kind of had this like, okay, we need to focus and get through this tour. Because it's like, we've been working so hard. But in the back, there was kind of this little excitement, like what's coming. And we knew we would get to talk about it later. And yeah, it probably helped us a lot through the tour as well. Yeah.
Just one lucky kid.
Yeah.
Some good parents. How are you guys feeling about being parents?
I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe. I'm so happy. Like, I'm just every day, like, as we get closer to, feel like I'm just falling more and more in love with Celia and just like our life and just how lucky we are to be able to do this. And it's just amazing. Yeah, it really is.
And I feel like snowboarding prepares you a lot. Not that we can be prepared, but like being in snowboarding, you're constantly adapting and having to change. And like, this is just as scary. And I'm like, well, it's just as scary as when I got on that bus and had no idea where I was going. You know, it's like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be amazing. And it's going to lead to a whole different part of life that we haven't experienced yet. So I think that's the exciting part, which you're ahead of us a little bit. So it's been nice to see your experience too.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are going to be and already are the best parents ever, and it's going to be a blast. I'm fucking pumped for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. You think he's going to, or his or her, whatever, like good back seven, switch, you think switch backside, goofy, regs, like what do we think here? Cab twos? Like what do you think the strong suit's going to be?
Powerful turns, taking after the mom.
They're going to be flowing with us. Baby's going to be flowing.
Already been flowing on the hill in the womb, right?
Baby's been turning. Baby's maybe hit a few jumps.
Baby's been snowmobiling, been on the turbo, been surfing.
Baby's been surfing quite a bit.
Wow.
Yeah. Just carving. Celia has the most beautiful turns. It's insane. But I think I just feel this increasing amount of gratitude for just how we've prepared our whole lives to not follow the herd and just be able to unapologetically be ourselves and just do things our way. And I'm just so excited for another little starseed to come in and grow up with two parents that are going to keep those values and just keep being, you know, we're not going to stop doing what we're doing. We're just going to take baby along and like it's just going to be more fun.
When we panic, we'll just call you and be like, what did you do? What did we do?
Nobody knows what they're doing. You just figure it out. It's great. It's fantastic. But one thing I think would be cool to highlight is, you know, they say that we dump our baggage, however you want to word that, onto our kids, right? But you guys have done a lot of work, personal, deep work to, you know, let go some of those things that don't serve you. And I would love to maybe take a second here and talk about, you know, the process of doing the work that you guys have been involved with for a few years now.
I think Tor was definitely the kickoff for it, you know. I think he's talked about it on his previous podcast with you. You know, you can speak to your experience, but, you know, he had a drive to go find something different and find some answers. So he got into that world. And like for a year, the first year we started really dating, he was always telling me about it and his experience. And like, I didn't have anything specific I was necessarily looking for, like, but I was interested. So I was like, I want to see what this is like, you know, and went with him and drank medicine for 4 nights in a row on my first trip. And it was like the gnarliest and most beautiful experience of my life, for sure. And just opened all these doors, and, you know, it shows you things that are always there, but maybe you didn't realize were more important than, you know, you thought. And it just started to open these pathways of like self-discovery, I guess, and wanting to be better, wanting to understand more things about yourself. It's like a whole breakdown of the self, basically. And yeah, we've gone quite a bit, and like, I think where we're at now, there's no way we'd be here in the position that we're in if we hadn't have gone and done that. But I think it's helping us, not that we know any more than we did before, but it's helping us like be okay with not knowing certain things, or like, maybe I don't know why I'm like this, but I'm okay with it because I know that there's some deeper understanding that is the reason for it, but I don't always have to know everything. And I hope that will also help like with like raising a child, is like stepping back and just like allowing and like letting things be and letting them be who they are born to be. And, you know, that's kind of been my experience. I have a hard time with like telling certain examples because it's such a personal thing for people to go do. And like everyone, whether you just go do a self-discovery alone, whether you're into maybe trying mushrooms or whatever it is, like there's no one way to do things. And like everybody's experience is so different, especially with drinking medicine. So like, I don't necessarily like to tell people my experience because I think it might give them too many ideas because their experience would never be like mine, you know?
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's a different case where people are really interested and they want to hear. So you're like, then I'll open up and kind of share those things. But does that make sense? Because like a lot of it, like, you know, your experience will be completely different than mine, and it's personal for you. So.
And Spencer's will be completely different than ours.
Yes, it will.
1000%.
We actually have a guest question from Spencer again, and this one's for Tor specifically. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Bombhole? It's your boy, Spencer Lane. First time caller, big time fan. Real quick, I hear you got Torstein over there. What's up, Maine? We would love to know what it was like your very first week down in the difference, drinking the plants, getting amongst it. I want to know what that first night, whether it was the first night, second night, or third night, but whatever night that was, your first time being down there, where the shit broke through the walls, sunk in, and busted your head open, where you were like, holy fuck. What was that experience like? What was it all about? And yeah, we would love to know, you know.
Living legend.
Oh my God. I almost want to talk about his experience more, but that is for a different time. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He would be a great guest, by the way. He would know absolutely nothing about the history of snowboarding, but you would have the best stories.
We'd be laughing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I've talked about this before on the. I don't remember what we talked about.
It's been 4 or 5 years, so whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first time drinking ayahuasca was like 7 years ago, or more now, something around there. And I was at a point in my life where I was asking a lot of questions from my peers and my friends and my family, and I wasn't getting any answers. None of it felt right. I was seeking something, but I didn't really know what it was. And then I had my first little introduction to psychedelics, and not in sort of, I never experimented with those in a party setting at all. So this was outside of that, where I immediately realized that this is something that has the potential to give some answers. But it wasn't coming from any external source. It was more feeling like it was coming from within. And sort of I was answering my own questions when I was under the influence. And just shortly after that, very quickly, I've found my way to ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and yeah, it just changed. It changed everything pretty quickly for me. I think just it tore down a lot of walls that I've built up. Sort of if I look at myself as an onion, there's a lot of layers in an onion. And just starting to peel back some layers, or look, if you can look at it as you can look at your ego as an onion or a castle with a bunch of walls on it, But on the inside of that thing, there's always like a little green piece in the end, like sweet or something. I don't know. But breaking down walls of bullshit that I've built up and realized I've done this. And I did it to protect myself when I was really little. Whether it be experiences with my dad or experiences with teachers or just hard situations I wouldn't understand. Like these things have, being told to shut up when you're like a little kid because you're screaming and you need to scream, but you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to purge that or clear that out. You're being told to shut up. And you have no understanding why, so you just choke. And that shit gets stored in your body and can get manifested throughout your life and becomes a part of your thought patterns and your programs of how you handle yourself and how you become a human being. And these things stick. And I had no idea that, like, I did it to protect myself, but I don't need those layers anymore. I don't need to protect myself like that because I'm not in harm's way anymore. And then being introduced to plant medicine that is so powerful and so intelligent that goes in and just starts to show you, like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to do it like that anymore. There's a different way. You don't have to say that. You don't have to be mean like that. And it just teaches you softly how to be a better human being and be kinder. And it's not easy. It's not a drug. If you want a drug, you can go see your doctor. If you want to cover up your symptoms, if you want to make things a little easier and bury things deeper down, you can go do that and get prescribed something and then figure out how to get off of it later. But this goes to the core of the problem, and it softens up a little bit, and it shows you how to let go of them, because we don't know how to let go. That's so easy to say. Just let go, man. Just let go. But I didn't know how to do that. But the medicine showed me how to begin softening and how to let go. And it's softly teaching you in like a custom tailored way just for me. And it was like, and then some of the shit just becomes funny, like how hard I was holding on to being this identity of like a X Games triple corking like pioneer guy. And as all of a sudden it's just like, well, that's super stupid. And I don't need to hold on to that anymore. Like it just blew my whole shit open. Like if I no longer spend energy on maintaining that, wow, there's a lot more energy to spend on other things that are good, you know? And then softly, like it's not done overnight, but I fell in love with the path of the medicine. That's for me. And like Celia said, there's other things in ayahuasca out there that can help. This is just one path. You know, you can do whatever. If you are seeking to be a better person, there's a plethora of things that will show up in your life for you that is meant for you and your path. And I believe that strongly. It doesn't have to be this. And this is, I'd say like the ayahuasca specifically, that medicine is for everyone, but not everyone is for the medicine. Or not everybody's ready for it. Or it might not be in this lifetime. It might be the next one that you begin your work. But I believe everybody has work to do. And like we touched on earlier, the things in life that become really difficult and really frustrating and extremely hard, as one might say, are the perfect indicator of what needs attention in my life and what I need to work on. It's like a giant, big old sign. Like, that's it. That's the thing that you got. That's your path. That's what I need to work on. And for me, ayahuasca helps me ease the path a little bit. It's like a huge dose of life, very concentrated, very highly concentrated drop of nature that brings you back to your true self, which is nature. And when you reconnect with your true self, which is nature, then you realize you're connected to everything. And then you don't treat everything so poorly anymore. You start to like have a little different feeling about how you speak to other people because you have a different connection to everybody. And that just feels better. And I become more aware of what isn't serving me, and even hyper aware of like the people that aren't serving me anymore in my life, that have been sort of not a good influence, that I've been trying to hold on to pleasing them for some reason, to be accepted. And it doesn't work. There's a dead end there because they got work to do, and that's not part of my path. The medicine's making it very clear that I don't need to do that anymore. And then being able to do the work alongside my partner too is like the most magical thing ever. Even though she's pregnant right now, she has a lot of medicine in her naturally, so she's not drinking at the moment, but I'm going in and then I feel like I'm not just shedding the weight of myself and my old self, but also clearing the path for like a better life for us, and getting rid of old relationships that aren't working out, and just there's no reason to put more energy there, and then attracting new relationships that are healthy, of other people that are like, okay, like I think I have some work to do, and then you giving me a call and being like, hey, I think I'm ready to go down and maybe do a little work, and then being in a position where I'm able to like help introduce a little bit. It's just such a blessing, man. Like, I'm just so grateful for this, and like just where we're at right now, and just how much the medicine has helped me just shed like old patterns and thoughts in my life that are just garbage. You know, it's just not even. Yeah, like I said, it just becomes kind of funny when you're looking at it from a new perspective of like how hard I was holding on to those things. And then it's just like, well, that was silly. It's just, things become a little silly. Even though they were so hard at the time. They were really difficult to deal with in my life, and they were really important. And they were supposed to be, but when they're like gone, it's like, oh my God, that was such a huge fart. Just waiting to just, you know, just be gone.
Yep.
But it was so hard to hold on to it. Like, I don't know.
All right, folks, we're going to talk about brain buckets. We're talking helmets. We're going to talk about the Method Pro helmet from Smith. Now, the main thing for me about this helmet is how lightweight it is. You pick it up, the thing weighs nothing. It's got to be the lightest helmet I've ever picked up. And I like it because it's more of a park-inspired design for the park rats out there on the steel. And it's not big and clunky. When you're jibbing, when you're hitting park jumps, you want something nimble. Nobody wants a big clunky helmet. It also has the zonal choroid technology, which is kind of like a honeycomb. I don't even know how to describe it. It's this really lightweight honeycomb technology to help protect from impact, as well as, of course, MIPS, which all good helmets should have. It's got the BOA system on the back to tighten, and then obviously it interfaces perfectly with the Smith goggles. So it's a great helmet through and through. If you're interested in checking one out, head on over to smithoptics.com. You can use promo code BOMBHOLE15, and that will take 15% off your first purchase from Smith. Again, BOMBHOLE15 at smithoptics.com. All right, we're going to talk about Herschel outdoor equipment. You may have seen them. We give them to all of our guests that win Name That Video part. Pack them full of Bombhole merch. They are sleek, and they're introducing a brand new performance line for travel and the outdoors. They got Alpine inspired and designed with multi-functionality for the first chair or last minute flight. I personally use all Herschel gear when I travel. I use the roller bag. I use the big roller bag. They got great backpacks. And the one thing I like, you can take your backpack and slide it over your roller bag, and you can be a true pro traveler. All their stuff's really well made, and they're building a team. They got Arthur Longo and the Dust Box on board already. So if you're interested in getting some sleek new travel gear, check out Herschel.com.
Kind of just went in a little bit there, but
that was beautiful. You were just flowing like the salmon of the Capistrano, brother. I was enamored by everything you were saying. Silk, yeah. Did you agree?
Yeah, very well
You're
said.
in the goddamn pocket. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Well, I want to hear a little bit about your introduction to this, and yeah, I just thought I witnessed like a really beautiful experience, but maybe hearing it from you, like you're kind of fresh off the boat a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think to back it up with this stuff too is, I'm a firm believer on like seeing people and seeing how they've changed, and I think you're an example of someone who I deeply admire in your presence, in the fact that like when I'm talking to you, you're where your feet are planted. You're there. You're fully enamored, and I feel like your level of presence and your level of inner peace was something that attracted me to some of the lifestyle choices you've been making lately with your meditation and with, drinking medicine, to where I saw you and I was like, damn, he seems to have an awful lot of inner peace. I kind of want to get me some of that. I want to get me some of that inner peace, So you're kind of a walking example of something of the work in some ways. So we had been talking, I don't know, for the past couple of years. You'd been saying, hey, why don't you come down to Costa Rica? We'll drink some medicine. And it never really felt right. And then the last conversation we had, I checked in with myself, and I just was like, how does this feel? How does this feel? And I was like looking for red flags. I was looking for red flags in my body and I was like, I feel really good about going to Costa Rica and drinking medicine. Like, I'm not scared. I think I'm at a point where it just feels right. That was what I trusted. And so we just pretty quickly, this is only a few weeks ago now, flew down to Costa Rica for 5 days, and I had a totally open mind in terms of, this ayahuasca thing. I didn't do any research. I didn't know much about what it was about.
Chris thought he was in Venezuela, by the way. He had no idea what country he was in. Like,
I'm shocked to hear that.
Where is Liberia? After we landed and got out of the bus.
And he goes, Venezuela. I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, no, dumbass, we're in Costa Rica. I was like, oh, okay. Dude, he just sent me the flight information. I just booked the plane ticket. I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, you don't need to read into it.
I'm not a big, like...
Hey, I'll go.
Yeah, we're just... Torstein... This is a guy I'll follow into battle, Blindly follow into battle, which was very similar to the experience that we had. But, you show up to this thing, and one thing I didn't realize how much... It is a tribal ceremony. Like, I think some people are like I've heard people, Granier's going to do drugs in the jungle. You're like, brother, it is... I've done drugs.
It's the farthest away from drugs you can get.
This is not it is totally, words are even hard to find to explain it, but, they start by blessing the medicine, which to me was so beautiful, where there's drums going and and there's chants happening in a different language, and the shamans are wearing beads, and you're in the jungle. You're surrounded by the jungle, and that is kind of not too far from where the medicine actually, like, is from what I understand, a root and a vine, right? And they mix them together, and you drink it. It's a root and a vine. It's nature, right?
No, it's a vine that is the ayahuasca vine, and it's mixed with a leaf. It's called the chacruna leaf, and the two of them boiled together in water makes ayahuasca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like natural process, and they'd been. I believe that our shaman said they'd been doing it, like, it's been around for 5,000 years.
Maybe longer. I mean,
Yeah, because I was pretty nervous, and I was like, I'm kind of nervous right now. He's like, this medicine's been happening for 5,000 years, and you're like, it's a pretty long time, pretty proven. You're like, this isn't like some brand new pharmaceutical fresh off the shelf. It's got some
pretty good track record.
It's got some.
What's that pharma, the drug they're trying to sell us on Peacock right now?
Oh, I don't know. Sky Rizzy.
Sky Rizzy or something.
Sky Rizzy.
Those commercials. Ayahuasca needs a commercial like that.
Hilarious.
So
hilarious. We don't watch a lot of TV, but like just...
Risks include heart attack and death and excess after sex. And you're like,
joke about that
cool.
every time. Yeah.
I need that.
You need a good jingle, though.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get you on that, Tor. A jingle for medicine.
The Return soundtrack's
Yeah.
actually a pretty good example of a good jingle for it. But then, you do it all at night. It starts at it starts as soon as it gets dark, and it goes till sunup, and you drink this medicine, and brother, it is a wild ride. And I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to find the words. I think it shows you so much. My experience, particularly, like the most empathy. It really made me have so much appreciation for my wife and her, just how powerful she is, and how my love for her, and just really amplified. I called her the next day. I'm like, you're everything. You're the patriarch. I listen to you. You're the boss. Like, you're, and it really
matriarch
or matriarch. You're right. Matriarch. Was that right? Yeah. Matriarch would be the female version. You're right. Yeah. So, yeah, she's the matriarch, not the patriarch. And it really just, it showed me so much empathy. Like, it really was amplifying how important, I had empathetic experiences where I felt some of the things my parents had been through, and my wife, and I saw it from their perspective, and it like really blew open the empathy within me. And then it shows you some just evil, scary, terrifying, like, there's points that were terrible that I wouldn't want anybody to go through. And hence, like, people think this is a recreational thing. Like, it is work. You are seeing sides of yourself that are getting uncovered, and it's just, there's parts of it that are just buckling, and then you go on another journey. You're just on a mystical journey, and you when it's all said and done, without getting into specifics, I felt lighter, I felt brighter, I felt like I purged, and it was exactly what I needed in that moment. And our relationship was strengthened because I'm in the thick of it, in a mystical universe, and he's checking in on me, and then you get up and you dance, and it's just it was really special. So I'm just really thankful for that. We went and did it, and
me too.
It was really fun. And I think with this stuff too, the one thing that, like Celia said and Torstein too, is, I think people are looking for a fix-all. They're like, if I do this, then I'll be good. And I think who we are in life is a combination of the choices we've made throughout our life. And, that can be as small as making your bed, or meditating, or breath work, or, like, for me, I've been what I'd call a searcher or a seeker, right? Where you're looking to try to find a way to be okay. And in that, I've done therapy, and that's helped. I've done meditation, and that's helped. I've done breath work, and that's helped. I've gone snowboarding, and that's helped. I've read books, and that's helped. I've done ayahuasca, and that's helped. And I think, like, all of these choices that we make are just to help us get out of our own way to enjoy the beauty of life, right? So I don't think that you do one thing, you meditate one time and you're like, I found enlightenment, I'm good, you know? I think these are all just little steps to try to be the brightest version of ourselves. And I think that like, you know, maybe ayahuasca is like taking a little bit more of a leap than a baby step. You know, it's expedited, but it's all just trying to subtly improve the quality of your life and just look around and see how beautiful life is. And these are all the steps involved.
Yeah.
And I think it's important throughout life to keep changing, you know? Like, I think when you're a kid, you're, especially like in snowboarding, and you're coming up and you're trying to figure everything out and you're like, I've got it made. Like, I know what life is. Like, I'm going to have the best life ever. But you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe for me, like subconsciously, I thought I'd like have it figured out and like then your life's easy. And that's not life at all. Like, life is like constant change and growing, and like you can apply that to anything you do too. Snowboarding, photography, art. Like, you don't want to just get to a spot and stop. Like, it's not easy to always keep going and keep pushing and keep learning. But like, if you don't, like, how are you going to feel when you're 60, 70, 80, 90? Like, do you want to be just sitting on a couch doing nothing and being like, I'm done learning? Or do you want to be 90 years old and learning something cool? Like, you know, like, I'm going to be surfing when I'm 90 or whatever, you know? Like, I just think not stopping and continuing to learn is probably the most important thing throughout life, and not like settling and deciding that things are good where they're at, because you won't be satisfied. There will always be like, that's, life is worth living, you know, life is worth discovering and changing and growing. Like, it doesn't stop just because you're an adult, you know. You have another phase, another decade, another year. You have a child, you know, you got to keep growing. So,
great point.
It's like, and you probably heard this a lot too, but like the more you learn, the less you know you know. It's like you giving me props in the beginning there, like how I seem so zen and stuff, but like I sometimes just blow my own mind of how little I got my shit together. And it's been, like, sometimes in the morning when Celia is asking me a simple question like, hey, would you like some cold pressed juice? And it takes me like 35 seconds to reply to her because my shit is just somewhere else completely. But it's
growing my patience, you know?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
I got to patiently wait for that reply. I know he's thinking.
Where are you?
Little media offline situation.
Yeah, 100% spinning wheel. Yes. Spinning wheel of death.
But that could also be a male-female difference. You know, you're very good at one thing at a time. And if you were thinking about something and I ask you a question, I know that it's going to take a while till that question.
You just got to hit it at the right time. Yeah. It's like, okay, he's in the tunnel now. Just got to wait till we hit. There it is.
Meanwhile, I've got like 20 things going on at the same time in my head. But
yeah. I'm just so blown away, man. Like, it was so cool to see you go through it. And I was just really honored to do the work alongside you. And just have you have that introduction for you and for your wife and for your son and everything. Like, just seeing just weight get lifted off your shoulders and come out of it lighter, and seeing the face in your color in your face change, and just like life coming back. And this, what you said earlier, it's like we're here. I 100% agree. Like, we're here to enjoy this. We're here to enjoy life more. And I think what I realized, at least with my own journey, is like, if I'm struggling and I feel like life sucks, it's like I have to make a change. I have to do something about that, because something around me is changing and I'm not willing to accept it. So I have some work to do here, and either I can stay here and become grumpy and crusty and old and feel old and hurt and just resentful and all that, and let that, and I can keep watering that seed, or I can plant a new one over here that's like something different and full of life and enjoying, and leave that behind because I don't need it, because I'm just trying to hold on to something that doesn't belong to me anymore, or maybe I've outgrown, you know, because everything's always changing. And yeah, it's like becoming a student like embracing the part of life where you're just a student, you know, always learning and evolving and wanting to just embrace that and not look at everything as so hard anymore. Maybe look at it as just different, you know? Like, down is easy, up is different. You know, things like that. It's just, and especially like this is something the medicine loves, is when you're able to crack a smile when shit is really fucking hard in ceremony. You get rewarded so hard. Like when I somehow make it to the bathroom and I'm just puking my guts out and, you know, just double ensemble there, just having a little symphony in there, and I somehow just start laughing. That is just the funniest thing. When that old stuff is leaving, and it just feels so good, you know, because you're not going to drink medicine to get sick. You're going to drink medicine to get well. The medicine is just dislodging shit in your body that is making you nauseous because it's been stuck there, stuck to the walls of your gut or your hips for so long. Emotions, you know, like for me, like when. I know a lot of people have like prejudices against this, and like and they want to just stamp it as a drug, and I accept that because they don't understand it, and it's really easy to fear and reject what you don't understand. But like when I have experiences from really, really early on in my life come to the surface of like what has actually shaped me as a human being that I no longer need anymore, and I'm able to get rid of that. Like the fact that I was growing up with a father that I was afraid of. Like imagine that. The one guy who's supposed to protect you and make sure that you know that you're loved, you're actually like intimidated by this person and you don't feel safe. And then you get to purge that and forgive. That is fucking amazing. That is so, like, that feels so good. And then seeing how like you're operating a little bit differently after, like feeling a little differently after that. And maybe like letting go of so many patterns that was shaped from those experiences is like an incredible gift. It's such a gift to be able to go do the work, even though it's not easy. Yeah.
Well said. Thanks for sharing that, Tor. There's another thing I kind of wanted to add in regards to this conversation too, talking about something I was fearful of going in, which I think is kind of an interesting topic. But you know, I love, for lack of a part of myself that I love is that I'm kind of a dipshit, right? Like same. Yeah, you know, like I like fun, stupid shit, bombhole USASA, laughing, sometimes being a cynical prick here and there, just this like light dipshit that I am. And there's a fearful part of me that I was like, am I going to go do ayahuasca and come back and have like a puka shell necklace and be like, it's all love? Like, you know, is going to change me? Is it going to change the parts about myself that I like or whatever? And I found out the answer is no. I'm still the same dipshit. But that was pretty rewarding. But
confirmed.
One of the same things. Like I was actually concerned because I went right to Snow League right from this ceremony, and I was thinking, am I going to be announcing this thing, being like, why are we even competing, man? What's the point? What's the point of competition? Like I was actually fearful that might be my mentality. It's like, no, dude, I'm still the same dipshit. But the point being, like one of the things that I think's important that I kind of gathered from this experience is laughter is also spirituality.
Oh yeah.
Like life is light and it's fun. And you know, we look at spirituality as like, okay, I need to sit and meditate and calm my mind. And it is that, but it's also just as much having a laugh with the crew and just laughing about dumb shit. Like that's also spirituality. That's also the joys of life, you know? Like it doesn't have to be this stuffy, serious thing.
Just laughter is the most powerful healer.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a random sidebar.
I love that.
Just wanted to share that.
We laughed a lot.
Yes, we did.
I don't know. I don't remember the last time I laughed that hard.
Yeah. Our boy Spencer was on a good one.
Oh my God. He's a specimen for sure. Love you, Spence.
All right. To put a bookend on this conversation about our mystical experiences and Ayahuasca. I know there's a lot of people that are curious about chugging some ayahuasca. What's your advice towards somebody that's been down that road several times?
Of thinking about it?
Yeah, just people. A lot of people are curious.
I would say just don't try to jump into it too fast, and do some research first. Make sure that you know and trust the source where it comes from. If you do decide to go down that path, I want to say again, there's plenty of other natural plant medicines out there, mushroom medicines. There's natural. You don't need to even take anything. You can get a lot of places just by meditating. Any practice, you can start anywhere. I just believe that if you're seeking to become better or make a change in your life, like those opportunities will show up for you. But if it is with ayahuasca specifically, and that's what you want to take a big step in this direction, then just be a little careful and do some research, maybe get a hold of some people that have been, if you're considering one special or type of place, like one specific retreat, for example, maybe just do a little research first before you jump in, and just make sure that the people serving the medicine are staying true. You might not even know that, how to ask those questions, but there's red flags can definitely come up. There are people out there that claim that they are shamans, and they don't have good intentions behind serving the medicine, and those places can lead to some bad experiences, and that has happened. It's not a perfect scenario where every place is a good place. Just be a little cautious of that, because it is a very powerful thing, and the experience does sometimes, if you want to have a really healing and a good experience, it can lay in the hands of the provider and who's providing the medicine, how they're blessing it, where it comes from, who brewed it, where they found it, and what their intention is. And you can just ask questions, Another telltale sign can be like if it's really, really expensive, that could be a red flag. Just a heads up.
Nice. Thanks for providing that. We're going to change gears here, and we're going to fire up a question from one of the stars of your guys' film Return that goes by the name of Mikey Cicerelli.
Hey, Tor. Hey, Celia. It's Mikey here. Miss you guys. Stoked to see you on the bomb hole with Chris and crew. I like the joint episode vibe. I'm excited to listen to it. I had so much fun working with you both last year. Still trip on that year that we had. It was amazing that it all lined up, and I learned so much from both of you, and very honored that we got to do that. I hope we get to do some more in the future. And had a quick question for Tor. I was so amazed with your discipline for meditation every morning. Early mornings, whatever it was, you were getting that done before we'd go ride, and I really saw the difference it made for you, and it was cool watching you navigate in the mountains and find those moments and really find your flow. And I was just wondering if meditation was something that you found over the last few years, or was it something that you were using during your competitive years? Because you definitely know how to find that Zen moment before dropping in. I definitely trying to do that too. It was really cool to see in person, and miss you guys, and hope the pod is going awesome, and hope we get to shred together soon. Peace.
Yeah, Mikey. One of my favorite humans.
The nicest person.
Good dude.
Yeah, I've developed a skill where I'm able to sit up and fall asleep, so it just looks like I'm doing spiritual work. And I can do it for a really long time, so it's looks really, wow, he's still sitting there. But I'm actually just, no. While I was competing, I was starting my yoga practice, but I just started with the asanas and the poses and all that stuff, and working with the breath. Slowly, that was going from a thing where I would just use it as another form of exercise, going to yoga studios and stuff like that. It's not really, it's not really yoga in my opinion, but But it can be really good exercise, and it can be a good opener because they do remind you to breathe and connect your breath to your body, which is at some point, if you do that often enough, it's going to click at some point. Like, oh, this is beneficial. Like, why am I feeling so good after all these sessions every time? Like, I just feel more at peace. And then it's like, oh, it's the breath and just focusing on that. And then when you're focused, when your attention is focused on your breath, like you can't think at the same time if you're really just present for it. And then that sort of led over into meditation. Came a lot later when I realized, that was after competition for sure, to answer that question. But it was a door opener and finding my way to the mat. And I still practice that every day. I think, once again, like connecting to the breath, to the body is just like a really great mindfulness practice that is, I couldn't say that would be bad for anybody to start practicing, but it's a good place to start. And then realizing the fact that all those asanas, all those poses are actually just designed for you to be able to sit longer in meditation. That's what the true purpose of those the poses are, so that you can sit for longer periods of time in sort of a lotus position without having a distraction in your body like pain or discomfort. And then that's like a revolving door. The more you practice this, the longer you can sit, the deeper you can go inside. And that it's like, you can go pretty far with just focusing on your breath and just having that one-pointedness. I think that's just been with me. That's also been with me in integrating ayahuasca ceremonies. I come back and you might be feeling like you're falling apart for a couple days and everything is like changing and you're having these crazy experiences and I'm not who I thought I was. But then, not to go back to the medicine one more time, but like the going to drink it is actually just, I don't know, maybe 25% of the work. The rest of the work comes when you come home because you're having realizations, things are changing a little bit, you have a different perspective, and the most important part of the work begins after you return. Because then you got to integrate this so it becomes a part of your life. And what I've found is like the practice of meditation and working with these psychedelics is like the perfect combo for me because it helps me just not freak out. It helps me integrate this stuff and let it actually sink in and land. And then for snowboarding, it's just nice, like it's pretty easy to overthink things as a Homo sapien. I think we all do it all the time. And just having a practice that helps calm the mind on the daily, preferably. I go through periods where I fall off a little bit, and then I realize I need to, ramp up the practice again. And it makes snowboarding better. It makes me connect to my snowboard easier. And on filming session, when it's sometimes you want to be on and turn it on, it's like the same thing, like back to the breath. It's so simple. It's like I don't have to think about all the things that can go wrong. I can just be present for this moment and remember that I trust that I know what to do and how to do it. I might not land the first time, but I'm pretty sure I can make it over that gap, And if I do, then it's on. So as far as snowboarding and getting in the zone, it can just be, whatever I do at the time. I mean, it's probably super stupid looking at times, but I don't care. It's just standing on top of a mountain and you're surrounded by nature and it's so powerful and you're staring down this fantasy land of a snow park with a blanket of fresh on it. And what better time to practice a little bit to make sure I'm right there with it, So it comes to, I like working with sound and using that's another point of if you're focusing on your breath like a one-pointedness or single focus. In yoga, you can call it drushti, where you're just focused on one thing or gazing on one thing, but paying attention to your voice too. That's why mantras and chanting can be so effective because instead of focusing on your breath, you're focusing on the sound and the vibration of your voice. And if that has a mantra tied to it too that means something, that's a different story. But it can just be as simple as oming or just whatever comes out, you know. And just paying attention to the vibration and just being completely there with it. That can be like another practice that I use sometimes, but it just depends on the situation. Like if it's really intense, you can pull out different tools for different situations.
Maybe you could elaborate on this for a second. I remember talking to you when you were in Alaska, right when you got back from natural selection, and you were saying how you never felt more connected to the mountains.
Yeah, that was pretty epic one too. It was really easy to connect there because we were snow camping in the first place. We didn't have service. Nobody was on their phone for like multiple days in a row. So that's another practice, just leaving the phone alone for a while. That can be a good place to start. But it just puts it like, and just being surrounded by those mountains and just sleeping right under that face and just being focused on that one thing, like we're going to ride this thing. And that was like the whole sole focus of the entire trip, and sleeping out there for 3 nights. So that when we were actually snowboarding, it was no practice needed. I was already there, even though like I did, you know, my little dancing up top, like listening to my medicine music and my stuff, you know, and just dancing, not just to move some energy, but like just to stay warm too, stay warmed up, you know, waiting for your run. So that when I'd actually go, it would just be 100% presence and connection with my board and with the mountain and with the snow and with my breath, and there was no thought involved. And just it felt effortless. It's a long run too, like no running out of steam. It's just all just play and this dancing with the mountain. If that's the only way I can explain it, you know. It's just a very powerful experience that I'll remember for a long time, I think. And that's like, I think we sometimes have those peak experiences in life or on your snowboard or in ceremony or whatever it is, that you're supposed to remember them because they'll serve as beacons in life for later times when things might be difficult. And like, okay, what can I do to get back there? Because I was doing this. Maybe you can journal a bit, and just it makes it easier to go back there to like the old, like the ideal, you know, true potential, because it's a lot greater than we think. Our thinking mind is very limited, I think.
So you think we're capable of much more than we give ourselves credit for?
I think we are capable of an infinite amount more than we think we are capable of. I think most of the time what is actually blocking us is our thinking mind, our monkey mind, or you call it your analytical, your neocortex, whatever. Especially when it comes to performance and art or music or whatever it is, it's most of the time like about putting that part of your mind to the side and letting things just happen and flow. And then that's a part of trusting, right? You know what to do. You practice this for a long time.
Hollow thy skull.
Hollow thy skull.
I like how you said snowboarding being a dance, right? Because it's like, you know, sometimes, you know, you're in Alaska, that might be Slayer going on in that dance. That dance might be, you know, maybe you're cruising some groomers, maybe it's some Mozart, you know? Maybe you're on some medium-sized park jumps. Maybe we got the Eagles, you know? They were dancing to the Eagles. But it's all a dance.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, when I'm in the backcountry, I don't listen to music. Unless, like, that was a very specific thing where we're standing on top of a run and I'm waiting to drop for a contest run. So, like, I'm putting some tunes on to kind of center. But usually when we're in the backcountry and filming stuff, I don't ride with music. That's more for, like, resort riding and stuff. But you're right. It's like, it can be, like, it can be a flow enhancer for sure.
All right, we got another alumni of Return guest question. And this is from Mons Royslin. Here we go.
Yo, what up, Bombhole Podcast? It's Mons here. Hey, Celia. Hey, Tor. Hey, Chris. I don't know if you got anyone else in the studio with you, but hope you're enjoying your time. And, I wanted to fire you guys a couple of questions. I've been lucky enough to spend a bunch of time with you guys over the past couple seasons and learning so much in the backcountry, enjoying Deep Pow and crashing it at your house. But we never really touched base on your inspiration from Norway tour, and I was wondering if you've had, yourself being, in many people's eyes, the Norwegian goat of snowboarding. Do you have a Norwegian goat and an inspiration growing up? And same from you, Celia, just Colorado-based goat, and excited to hear this episode. Peace.
How's he doing now?
He's in full contest mode.
Yeah, he's locked in. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of role models growing up in the videos. It was like a mix of a lot of them. I mean, the first two that popped into like my field of vision was Daniel Frank and Terje Håkonsen. I remember when they were both on the screen for one of the Arctic challenges or something, even though Daniel wasn't part of that the whole time, but he was participating in one. And they were doing some sort of promo thing for the Ticket to Ride and an Arctic challenge. And that was one of my earlier memories of seeing snowboarding on TV and just getting introduced to the culture. And then realizing, we have snowboarding royalty, like, in this country, and they're superstars, and they're at the top of their game. And from there, I got introduced to snowboard films, and it was just like, I was just hit with a wall of all of it. And I just became a super fan of all types of snowboarding. So it wasn't really specific to Norwegian riders. That was more on just my local hill, and the older riders at my local hill in Vassfjellet, and the older riders that were doing some of the tricks I would see in the videos, they were like my superheroes, like growing up.
Celia?
Was his more specific to Colorado for me?
Well, I just think, maybe who's your goat, or who did you really idolize growing up?
Yeah, it's different for me because I didn't have that growing up. I wasn't snowboarding really until I was 16, 17, but like it's kind of what I said earlier, like some of the early Absinthe films, like all of those people, I didn't even know deeply about the names, but just watching those movies and you're just like, whoa, that's so insane. Like watching Gigi drop crazy stuff. Like I didn't even know where that was, but it was just like, it just was mind blowing. I think being in Colorado, one of my first friends that I used to ride with all the time was this girl, Tori Koski. And when I showed up, she was so amazing. Her pipe skills were insane, and she was such a good, solid rider. And I was just like, for me, it was cool to watch such a powerful woman in person. Seeing that was really neat. Oh, and Victoria Jalous back in the day. I remember watching video parts of her, and that was the first woman that I ever saw that I was watching her ride lines. And again, I'm super new. I don't know any of this stuff, what the difference is between big mountain line, whatever. But I just remember being that's just beauty and power and flow. And it was just, I don't know, I just remember it sat with me that's so badass. And I want to be like that, So it definitely hit me seeing some of that.
Killer.
I gotta toss in another one too, just to, now that I'm collecting my thoughts a little bit.
Okay.
Andreas Wiig.
I thought you were going to say Andreas. That was the name I was hoping you were going to say.
Mm-hmm. Which I later on got to know and become friends with, and he was just such a, good guy, powerful rider.
Yeah.
He's the GOAT.
All right, we got another guest question. We're going to keep rifling through. This one is from Blue Montgomery. Here we go.
So I was listening to the Bombhole group chat the other day, and Joey Fava's on there, who is an absolute savage on a snowboard, but apparently doesn't know much about snowboards. And he's not alone, because most professional snowboarders can tell you in about 2 seconds whether a snowboard's great or it's a piece of shit, but they don't know why. They don't know anything about the construction, the geometry, the shaping, the engineering, the design. They're just so good, they can pretty much ride anything. And Torstein, in our experience, you're the opposite of that. you are very particular, and I mean very particular. Like waist width gotta be 25.3, not 25.4, not 25.2. And when we're talking about 1 damn millimeter of difference in waist width, there's like 100 out of 100 people aren't going to be able to tell. But you can tell, and I believe that you can tell. And so my question is, can you speak a little bit about snowboard design, why it's so important to you, how you can feel these very nuanced differences, and how that either mentally or physically enables you to perform at the extremely high level that you ride a snowboard. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to the episode.
Thank you, Blue. That's funny. Yeah, I've probably been the most annoying person to watch for the Capita factory workers. Well, when I started riding for Capita, I slowly realized I was gonna at some point have the opportunity to dive in and be able to work on a board with them and make something new that wasn't existing in the line, and maybe something that I'd never really thought about it before. You know, I was in the same boat. Riding for DC for so many years, I was just like, okay, whatever you have on the line, it's like, cool, it's got a wood core, steel edge, camber, perfect, you know? But especially in later years and riding more backcountry and then figuring out like what I like to ride and my riding style and just what I enjoy in a snowboard. And then every snowboarder is different and every snowboard is different. And like when I was presented with this opportunity, I wanted to dive in deep and embrace it and really educate myself and know why this type of radius feels like this and why waist width like this feels the way it does. And it's been about 3 years in the making now for this board coming out this fall that I'm finally ready to, put my name behind. It's not going to be called the Torstein snowboard, but it'll have my name behind it. It'll have a different name, and it's the board that's sitting behind Celia right now. That also won't look like that because that is the prototype graphic that Capita has on all of their prototypes. You can see there's like notes on it, like which version it is, what weight it is, all this stuff. And that's what I've been riding. I've been on prototypes for the last 3 seasons, and not just the board and the binding side too, which we can talk about. But yeah, it's finally ready. At least, I mean, I could never finish it and just completely just be a pain in the ass for the factory for the rest of the time. But I feel like it's kind of like with music. At some point, you have to be done and ready to release it. But I'm just really happy, and I'm super in love with this snowboard right now, and I'm excited to. I haven't felt this spark for snowboarding in a long time. Just like feeling really excited to go ride and just happy with where this snowboard has come to at this point. Yeah, Blue's right. Like I like to just really connect with it and really feel it and compare and know, why are these numbers the way they are, like, and how does that feel? Yeah.
One thing I think would be interesting to talk about, you mentioned when we were in Costa Rica how you were like going to the local Christie Sports and like secretly like walk around with basically a protractor and like checking out all the other boards and waist widths and like doing like I just that the image of that is just cracks me up, like going CSI Miami on some other boards trying to be undercover.
Yeah, that didn't work out. I mean, it's not the first time, but like just going with a tape measure and just actually measuring different things, like figuring out what I want in an actual tip height, for example, of the nose. Like how if I set it on flat ground, like how high do I want the tip of the nose to stick out, and what do I want the ending degree angle of that tip to be? As far as when I go across terrain and I'm going from this sort of cornice drop and I want to traverse hard cut over to this other natural feature to blast off of that. You know, that's sort of this kind of backcountry snowboarding is what I like to do, and how can I make a snowboard that works better for that and then doesn't hold me back on other places. So yeah, I go into the most recent one was like, yeah, it was a Christie Sports and there's and it was funny because this kid was working there and in my career, like I've gotten in mountain towns specifically, I've gotten recognized a lot. So I know what the look looks like when a person knows who you are. So I go in and immediately this guy's just like, hey, can I help you? I'm like, can I just have a look at your snowboards? I just want to take a look at your boards. He's like, sure. But he never said anything. He never said like, hey, you're Torstein, right? He was just staring at me. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna browse a little bit if that's cool. And he's like, okay. And he just wouldn't leave. He just wouldn't leave. He was just, and he left. At one point he left and I just like put some boards down on the carpet and I was like measuring some things. And then I was done and I go to leave and he's just like, all right. I'm like, thank you. It was just the most awkward. Can you just say something? But yeah, just, you know, going to gather some intel. It's always fun. But
light bulb in our house won't be changed, but he's on the garage floor with like measuring things and anglers, and it's pretty fun to watch.
So what's going on with this board? Who's it for? What's the deal with it? Tell me about this thing.
I mean, not to take the music analogy again, but when I'm making music, like I'm not making it for, you know, any one specific other than just trying to stay like in what do I enjoy, you know, what am I feeling here? Like it's all just going internal. So it's the same thing with the snowboard. Like I can't be wanting to make something for a certain type of person. Like I got to make this to make this the best possible snowboard I can. I got to make it for me and how I like to ride. And I was talking a little bit about like going fast across powder faces, connecting feature to feature, and just being nimble like that. And that's where this side cut comes in. It's a pretty mellow side cut, around 8 meters. And then the tip and tail. I mean, I didn't want the nose is kind of like, it's a bigger nose than it is a tail, but the tail still is not super short because I like to ride switch, and I did want it to be a pretty gradual angle from the side cut going into the radius of the tail and the nose. I mean, it's pretty much the same there before it cuts in, and then the flat part is just to kind of maximize the length so it doesn't continue and become like a 160. This is a 158, by the way, I worked with the waist width for a long time, and it's a 257 millimeter waist width. Just going specifics here. If they,
yeah,
I know this is pretty nerdy, but yeah. Like the nose width is 30 centimeters on the dot. It's got a 4 millimeter taper, so not a whole lot, but it rides switch like a dream. I'm so in love with this snowboard. It's been such a long process, and it's like finally here, and I'm so stoked to put a graphic on it. The tip angles will come down a little bit. I know that. That's just, we maxed out the capabilities of the prototype mold, so the tip angles are a little steeper than they will be in production, which I like because the last thing I want is if I'm landing in powder and the tip is too steep, then it can very easily start to fold on you and make you tomahawk, where if it's a little less angle and longer, it'll cut and like help you land easier and be in more control quicker before going to the next feature. So it's definitely a Bowder freestyle board, but I've spoken about this in my YouTube videos as well, that like I can tell a lot about how a board is going to feel in powder by the way it feels like when I carve. And like, it's my favorite board to carve on riding resort. And I mean, I don't ride too much steel anymore, but I like to hit a rail here and there.
It's still in there.
It's still in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, I didn't want to go and say like, this is a board that works for everything and just buy it because it's awesome. Like this is a little bit more specific to powder freestyle, and like when it actually snows out on your resort, it's going to handle a little bit better than like a very specific park board, for example. But that's just basically it. And then all my prototypes during this process has been on the Union source binding too. That's going to come out at the same time. And this is
not in production yet.
No. This binding is insane. Yeah, this is going to sound like an ad real quick.
Are you part of the design process of this thing?
So talking to Union, I've been part of their team for a long time, and I knew they were sort of thinking about doing a binding at some point that had just 2 screws, because with their strength tests of their bindings, you know, they figured out throughout the years that you don't really need 4 screws. And with their forged carbon tech, they're able to press a base plate that sits lower than your average base plate and is stronger at the same time with only 2 screws. And if you think of like a skateboard truck, you know, like how it pivots and stuff, it's with the 2 screws being centered around like in the middle of under your foot, then the pivot point's going to be more in the center. And it's just probably, I don't know if it's the lightest binding ever made, but it's the lightest binding I've ever ridden. And so it has the forged carbon base plate. And then I was testing this in the beginning, you know, they had the forged carbon base plate with the 3D printed frame. They have a 3D printer in their factory that is able to print out bindings that are actually rideable, but they're not production strong, but they're rideable. They can put regular ankle straps, toe straps, and high backs on it, and you can ride it. So I was riding that. They were really advising me not to do it, but I've been riding that prototype since like even going against John Jackson in the duels for national selection. I was riding that, and I brought like 3 other pairs of bindings with me just in case because I was kind of expecting them to break, and I've broken a lot of them in this process. And now it's come to the point where like these are obviously not 3D printed frames anymore, and this is more of the production model. It's going to be called the Source, coming also this fall. But yeah, I just like the connection to the board. Like I said, the base plate sits a little lower, so I'm even closer to the board, and it's really, it's a really tight connection, basically, from your boot to the snow and the snowboard in between. And I told them as soon as I got on this, even the first prototype, like, I don't want to ride anything else, even though they advised me not to. And I kept snapping them and sending them photos and laughing and stuff, like, just please don't ride at that in the competition, because some shit might happen, you know, and break your foot or something. But it felt so different to me that I didn't want to go back to riding anything else. So I've been on that ever since, and now it's finally coming out. So I don't know if that's like an announcement thing or whatever, but here we go.
What about the forward lean?
Yeah, I usually rock notch number 2, setting number 2 on most bindings.
How does that work? It looks like a different system.
Yeah, this one's a fixed system. So these notches, if you get the source binding, you'll receive like a 1, 2, and a 3, and you in this like little case that comes with a specific tool, because this is a different system than your regular binding too. So it comes with a toolkit. And then that way you can set your forward lean how you'd like, and that's sort of like a fixed position. Yeah, so this comes out, and you can switch it out between the different numbers.
It's the most elaborate product tech talk I think we've had, and
I feel like I just overstayed my welcome on the advertisement here.
I mean, but you're into it. It's not an advertisement. You're a part of the design process of it. So I feel like, you know, there's some pride there's like some effort behind all the choices with the design process, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just enjoy it, and I enjoy seeing it through as well. As far as like, maybe they're not used to working with a rider like me that really like gets into it and wants to know and asks a lot of questions and why is this like that. It actually there's been a lot of frustration too, and because working with prototypes and you're working with humans and then things with there's not even on production models that you see in the stores, like every snowboard is different, but their goal is to try and make every snowboard in the line or in a certain model be as close to each other as possible. But when you're prototyping, you're working with tools that are a little bit more in the like, it's a little looser, but you're trying to get a ballpark of everything. So a lot of the times a prototype version can come out pretty far off target, and and then it's like, I get bummed because it's like, I feel like I'm wasting company money and like, it's like, wasn't I clear enough on but it's just things happen, and then the next model comes out like a dream and it's like, oh my God, we're on the right track. Okay. Like, yeah. And then it ends up like this. And this is the first time that I've ever gotten to a point where I'm like, this is my snowboard. I love this thing.
Well, that's a damn beautiful thing, Tor. It's a goddamn beautiful thing. Silk, you have any idea what you think it could be a good time for?
I feel like it might be time for Name That Video part.
Confidence level, Celia.
I don't know if it was something I watched in the shop like 20 years ago, 100 times, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe you could use a phone a friend,
Yeah.
with if you can't get it, you got a lifeline, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You could ask Tor. All right.
Or are these individual for each of us?
I mean, I picked one song.
Okay. We can tag
This
team
is a
it.
team effort.
Love it.
Okay, here we go.
Dirksen?
Right production company.
No.
Parker.
Come on.
It's Robot
Parker.
Food.
It's Parker.
Parker.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't believe I blew that.
Celia got it right. You know
Wow.
what? Get Celia it's Travis Barker in what movie? Do you know?
It's in the Robot Food.
There's three. I'll give you the three videos. There's After Bang, Lame, and After Lame.
It's lame.
That's correct. Said it was lame. And Torstein does not get a prize pack.
Yep.
Celia
I'm okay
gets
with
one.
that. That was very embarrassing.
Just kidding. We can
I'll
give
share with you.
We can give it to him. Just give him as like a consolation prize.
It's heavy.
Consolation prize pack.
Yeah, that's.
I know you know that.
Yeah.
You were in a good direction.
I was too quick with it.
Yep. You got
I was
excited.
too confident. I blew the last one too. With
I know.
with the Mountain Lab.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. I thought you were gonna redeem yourself with this one.
I gotta drink more medicine. It was pathetic.
Yeah. All right. This one's for the listeners. If you guys know the song, comment on the photo of these guys on Instagram when this episode comes out. And that's where we pick our winner. Here we go. Okay. Thank you guys for playing. Name that video part.
No idea what that was.
All right. We're getting into our last guest question. This guy goes by the name of Ninja. Are you familiar?
I know the name.
You know the name. You know the name. All right, here we go from Ninja.
Hey guys, Ninja here. Torstein, I have a question for you. Tell us about that time way back when we had just started Torstein.net. You called me, I believe in May, and you were all amped to release this NBD trick you had just done in Folkafana. And talk about how you changed snowboarding forever at that moment in time and all the things to follow afterward. Love you, buddy.
I love you too, Ninja. Yeah. That was the summer I did the Triple Cork, and then nobody knew about it because I didn't want any pressure from anybody. I'd hit this spring park jump for a shoot like a couple months before. I went out with a friend of mine, Philip, and he ran like a skier film production. They're just friends from Norway, and they were sort of like, at the time, they were like the brain farm of skiing films. So he had like some helicopter budget and the stuff to like film the jumps with in the spring, and I just got to join him on his sessions every spring. So I joined him for a session where we hit this insanely large step down, and I did some double corks on it, and then after that session, it kind of got stuck in my mind that I wanted to do this or try a triple at some point because there was so much airtime on this park jump, and I had so much time left over after the first. It was this frontside double 10, and yeah, I just planted a seed in my head that I have to try this at some point. And I told Philip, like, hey, whenever you're going to Folgefonna this spring, just let me know. Like, I'm kind of looking for this type of jump, like a step over thing. And he was like, cool, yeah. So he knew, but nobody else knew. And then when the time came, he called me and said, hey, we're going. The weather looks good. And they had the jump ready. And I didn't tell anybody. And I went over there. I told my roommate at the time, too, that I was going to go home and see I didn't want to see my mom. I didn't want anybody to know that I was going to go try this thing because I don't know, for whatever reason, in my head at the time, it was just like, my process was to keep it tight. And then I went there, and I did it. I landed one on like the 7th or 8th try or something like that. I broke my foot in the process. Like I slammed on the 6th try or something and broke my ankle and like did some shit to some ligaments, but it was like a T-bar, so I like strapped my binding, and I had BOA boots, so I just tightened everything a little bit tighter because I knew as soon as I would unstrap and undo the boot, it would be game over, but I knew I was really close to getting this trick. And then I landed it on the next try and rode away, and it was just like the biggest rush ever because this was something I'd been dreaming about and losing sleep over for a couple months now. And I got the opportunity and like got away with it. And then
what happened the first try?
I think I under rotated, dug my nose in. Either that, I had a back-to-back like under and then over rotate. I forget. It's a long time ago. But I remember having both of those. Yeah, and then on the car ride the next morning, like I was driving back to Oslo with a balloon for an ankle, and I called Ninja, and I didn't want to tell him yet what it was, but I was just like, hey, because I for some reason figured out that I wanted to just post it on my Vimeo.
Nice.
One of the angles. Because the rest was for my part in standard films. But there was this one super far away angle that was like this top-down thing that I was like, what if I just release this right now? Because that hadn't been done before, and then, or not of that, you know.
You started the Instaclip trend.
Yep, there it is.
It's your fault.
Yep. I think Knut said that I ruined snowboarding. I don't know if it was this moment he was referring to, but shout out Knut. Glad kompis. I went to school with him, by the way, in Norway. Well, I called Ninja and I just told him, I got this thing that's going to go live tomorrow, and then things are going to change. That was like the old super, I was feeling myself at that point. Even though I had a broken ankle. I was like, this, I put some money in the bank or something. I felt good. Just high on painkillers, I don't know. but yeah, that was basically it. And then that was the start of that confidence from that trick. And still just being injured, I just had this like confidence after that, like, because I went out of my way to do this thing that nobody had done. And that stayed with me, you know, like for the rest of my career, just that, like, I know I can do shit if I put my everything to it. So it just, my whole career changed after that. And like, I didn't snowboard until the middle of December because I was recovering from the injury too. And in the meantime, I had, after that, I had met with Tobias Freustad, who became my filmer, my first hired filmer. Then we did Torstein.net, and 2 years later, Horgasm. So it all happened, like that trick, and then going that, and just being like creatively planning in my head, like we can do so much. Like there's just infinite possibilities here, you know? Just after that trick, everything changed. And the confidence too led up into strapping in that December. And then later that December was the first Old Tor, and I ended up winning that contest with 2 weeks of snowboarding under my belt. So like, just by visualizing my run, and like just my whole confidence changed after that. Yeah.
God.
Long story long.
No, that was, I want you to keep going. I'm locked in over here. I don't want you to stop telling the story. And then I remember you battling at X, the Triple Cork. Didn't you go to war for that thing in Big Air?
Yeah, I tried. That was
Different triple.
No, it was I tried to do the front triple there, 1080 there too, but it was it's just a weird kicker that year. And it was really hard to get it around, and I ended up like coming up short and smacking my head and getting like a full-blown migraine rager. And then somehow like having like sort of like one more try in me when you probably shouldn't go again, you know, like you hit your head. And I made it around to like the 900 and like had a hand drag, but that was the first triple flip at least in competition. Yeah.
Damn, then you went on a hell of a run. That's still going. It's still going, brother.
It's still going. It's different. It's different.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good segue, right? Because I think if you think about young Tor, right, and you know, it sounds like from what you're saying, maybe fueled by a little bit of ego. You know, I don't know what fuels you to do the Triple Cork. Now you've gone and you've done a lot of deep work. And I think about this in some ways where, you know, we talked about it in the lobby. A lot of the greats have something chasing them, right? If you watch Michael Jordan's documentary or a lot of things like that, you know, you hear it doesn't always come from a healthy place. But now you've gone and done all this work on yourself, and you're in a much more healthy place, yet you put out the film Return and you still are on top of your game and you're still doing big tricks and double corks. But to me, it seems like it comes from a different place. How has that evolved for you?
I love it. Really, really love it. And I remember when I was growing up in snowboarding and becoming a pro and starting to have video parts and stuff, I would never be satisfied when the product, there was always something in my mind that could be better. And like, I was such a perfectionist, and I would hear it in interviews from all the other pros I looked up to as well, most of them. Whenever they got the question, like, are you stoked on your part? Like, how you feeling about this, like, monumental thing? And most of the responses would always be like, you know, like, I could always do that. But you could see the mind turning, like, I can always, yeah, I wasn't quite, you know, like, I can make it a little better. And like, yeah, I'm not really stoked on it. And like, and that's, as soon as I started doing the work, that's one of the first things that went out the window is like, if I land something and I have a little flail and I watch the clip later, I'm like, that's hilarious. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. I love that. That's me. Like, I'm not perfect. Like, and that's fine. I don't have to try so hard anymore to like have this like, I'd rather just try something else, you know, like, and just, or ride a different feature. We're done with this feature. It's done. Like, we got a clip. It's perfect. You know, like, let's move on. And the same with music and being able to just let things go. And with the movie too, like, I'm absolutely in love with it. and what we did was so, like, I'm so grateful that we were able to do that. And just being able to let it go in the end and share it, you know, just the way it is. Like, there's a gazillion things that could have been done differently about that movie, too. But we made what we made at the time we could make it. And that's just, like, I'm chill with that. And, like, going in the backcountry now and, like, I'll do a front 3 or a cab 5 or something off a natural hit or, like, a little kicker. And I land something and it feels good and you connect a turn and it's just like get to the bottom and your stoke is high and your friend's there and he had a run of his life and you're just like, God damn it, today is amazing. And being able to do that with my wife too, and Celia and me can go out and do that while she's pregnant and she's a baby in her belly. It's like, this is a joke. This is the best time to be alive. Like, I'm just enjoying life a lot. And I'm really grateful to be able to do that because I was at a place before, and I probably was on a path where I could have been stiff and pissed, you know, and just grumpy or something at this point, and just trying to hold on to some part of like who I used to be, and it just feels like a waste of energy, you know. I'd rather put it to what's happening today.
Mm. And I think the YouTubes that you've been making are a good representation of that. But I'm watching these things. I'm watching the Powder Park one, and Celia's filming, and you're doing a switchback 5, and you're almost like landing on your pregnant wife, Celia. I mean, I'm like, you guys need to be careful. What do you guys? It's almost irresponsible, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's what our doctor said too.
Sometimes Tor doesn't tell me what he's going to do, and I've been following him for a few runs, and then all of a sudden I'm in the same path and he's not, and I'm like, and yet my thought, I think I even said that, like my thought is like, just keep filming him and like get out of the way, like I don't know why I'm like, get the clip. We had one in Sauce Bay too, where you're like, you were going to do a switchback 5 and I'm coming over the knuckle and I'm following him. And like, you were like, I don't think you told me you were going to drift because you'd done it before. And you like literally cross-corded the whole thing. And I had to like brake and I air chair off the knuckle, like, and I'm still filming him the whole time somehow. But no, most of the times I don't know, it's fun for me to like I can keep up with him, I can follow, I can film, and it gives me something to do. And like, I really enjoy doing that. Like, cause I'm not worried about myself hitting jump, especially right now. Like, I know I'm pretty limited to how much activity I'm gonna be able to do in the next few months. So like, it's been really nice to just go out on powder days. That was one little, close call, but
yeah,
but it's like a controlled close call. Like we both kind of know, like I know he's gonna land and pull, and I'm gonna like we're. We'll be more careful, I promise. Yeah.
Okay. We need to have a little wake-up call sometimes too. Like, okay, let's maybe dial it back a little bit on that, And like she usually is hitting all the jumps too when we're just boarding, but now it's like she still wants to go ride and get exercise. It's soft and powder outside. Like she enjoys filming a little bit, and I'm always like, "Are you sure? Like, are you good? Like, we're."
And I get to the bottom, I'm like, like I'm so out of breath, more than I normally am.
It's a lot of space in there.
It's easy.
The lungs.
Yeah, it's easy to get carried away. So like I think as her belly is growing bigger, like we're increasingly being more careful and like dialing it back.
But she's not missing the clip.
But she's definitely
at all costs. At all costs.
That was quite a few weeks ago when we actually filmed that. But.
Yeah, and I can speak for experience too. Is like Britt, when she was pregnant, we'd go on a hike and she'd be like breathing like a linebacker and like moving and be like, get off the couch. And I'm like, God, I think she's being dramatic right now. I can tell you when that baby comes out, you're just like, holy shit. You got that thing inside your body? That thing's huge. You are not being dramatic. So just know that moving forward, that there's a little person in there that's pretty substantially sized.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated. And so I love all the noises she's making now. It's like, I've never heard that one before. I'll be sitting there editing or making some music, and all of a sudden I just hear, he's like, you good? Yeah, I just had to get off the couch.
I don't even know I'm making them. Like, I'm like, oh, sorry. Like,
I love it.
I don't even know. Yeah. No, but I think I'm being careful though. Like I'm keeping it on the ground and we're keeping it light. I didn't want to fully give up riding just because most people probably shouldn't be maybe snowboarding on resort. Like honestly, it's not me, but it's more the other people. Like I'm worried about somebody flying from behind me if I'm like in my little car flow. Like I kind of am double checking and making sure I've got a clear opening. And I'm like, all right, there's nobody coming down, on skis, and I'll just take my turns. And in the park, like just following him, like the jumps are small. They're,
And I trust her.
Cruising.
I trust you and your ability. Like she's one of the best snowboarders I know as far as going fast and turning, but it's the other people that we're worried about because it's Colorado and any sunny day there'll be like a gong show, on the runs, any resort. But
midweek Pow Park?
Pow Park is a certified resort hack in Colorado. It's the most fun. I mean, I'm not worried about it. There's nobody there because everybody else is sort of going out chasing the powder bra, but they're like standing in line for 30 minutes to get like 2 turns of fresh and then stand in line again for 30 minutes, like on the popular sort of powder runs. And we're just like hot lap in the park, just laughing.
Just hitting a perfect jump into powder.
Some of the times that works out where you have enough speed to hit the actual park kicker and they just scraped the takeoff and left the landings like Duffy. Yeah, it's nice. It's the best time.
I want to talk about the YouTube channel. I'm a consumer. I'm a subscriber. I'm a fan.
Thank you.
I love watching it.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. But I feel like you've been having a lot of fun with your channel, and it comes from really pure place. And I'd love to hear you talk about your mentality with these videos you've been making.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it for a long time. Like I've been editing since a long time. But after return, I was pretty burnt out. We talked a little bit about the financial stress and stuff, and that did come with a price. So when I was done and we were done with the tour and we were trying to make sure Celia was healthy throughout the whole tour and traveling and all that, afterwards I was pretty flatlined as far as motivation and energy, and I actually had blood work done and my adrenals was completely depleted. My cortisol level was like dangerously low because I needed to figure out what was happening too physically with my body in order to like be able to do something about it. But I just needed to take some time off, and I spoke about that on my channel too. Like if I have something real going on, I'm not, like I feel like it's almost therapeutic for me to be able to share a little bit about it, and I'm also not afraid of that because anytime I've experienced other people doing that and I get a little intel on what people are going through, like it's always helped me. So I know the value in that. So like I like to be sort of a positive force in that place, at least for my YouTube channel. And so I did that, and I released that video talking about burnout specifically. And then slowly, I was working on the snowboard and things started sort of coming back a little bit. And I really, really, obviously went for a full reset down south and going back to ceremony and having some medicine to help me with the issues as well. And that was like a huge leap forward, coming back and resetting and also purging last winter and all the stress that was stuck in my body. So I got to release that, sort of have a reset, come back to center and just spending quality time with Celia at home and not rushing into it. I didn't start snowboarding until January 11th because of all this. That's the latest I've ever started in my entire career. And then we started going out again, and just with the GoPro, and like we've had this huge winter with like 8K Raptor Red cameras and this huge production and like pulling it off and feeling like we got away with it. And now I'm like out there laughing with my wife with a GoPro, and we're just making silly little videos. That's just more the opposite end of the spectrum, like just having some fun again. And that's been really helping me to just make some videos that like is just for us and like for me, and just putting it out and sharing where I'm at. And just coming back to the real joy of snowboarding again. It's just been like a blast, and I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
God damn. This guy's just freaking nailing Nailing life. You guys are nailing it. Would you agree, Silk?
Absolutely. Yeah. Seems like you're nailing.
We got any Patreons? Because then we could probably start hitting some hot takes. And
Yeah, we did have one kind of talking about Old Tor. This question's from Josh. Are you still naming any of your boards these days?
No, not like that. That was a phase. I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I had this phase where back to like, starting to create like the website and Torstein.net and stuff. I had this idea, like I wanted to create a character in my board and just pretend that my board had that my board was possessed by a female demon named, and the first name I thought about was just Nicole for no reason at all. And people were speculating on that for a long time, like why that name, but it was just absolutely the most random thing ever. But it became this thing, and like it was really fun, and like my board graphics were reflecting it for a while, and then I just kind of grew out of that phase. But now that was just good times though.
Yeah.
chapter's closed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that Sims.
Yeah, this question's from Sims Brothers. Congrats on making the best snowboard movie of the year. What makes you excited for the upcoming winters?
Thank you, Sims Brothers. That is a huge statement. Seal, what do you think?
Well, I mean, my answer is definitely different than yours. Like, for me, that was just such
Upcoming winters?
Yes.
Plural.
Yes,
I think there's
plural.
an S at the end.
Plural. Yep.
Well, I think finding out that we're going to be having a baby, for me, my life will be changing a lot, but it'll be like even just this winter for me, staying on the ground, just carving. Like I thought I would miss like not being able to jump or not being able to do stuff that I normally do. And I don't miss it right now. Like I'm really excited for the next chapter, and winters are going to look different. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but like I'm okay with the change, and it's going to be fun to be able to support Tor with whatever he needs to. And yeah, we'll just take it as it comes.
I'm in the same, I feel like we don't have any idea what's going to happen, and that's just the most awesome, exciting thing ever. We know we're both at least like really psyched for what's coming, and
we knew we weren't going to make another movie this year. We're going to need a break.
Yeah. So as far as like snowboarding next season, like I know I can stay as busy as I want to be, but there might be a little adjustment as far as, baby coming in the middle of summer, which we're really grateful for because it sort of will give us a head start, and then have some months to adjust, and then figure out if I need to make an adjustment for next winter. I'm taking a year off, obviously by this point when the episode comes out. Like I said no to the natural selection this season because of my burnout and everything. I needed a mental break. But I have a goal to come back stronger next year and enjoy that too, and then maybe be traveling with baby or something and just bring the fam out. And I still have amazing sponsors that support what I do, and they sort of trust my vision. And if a project idea comes to life again, I'm open to that too, but not something we're rushing into right now at all. It's sort of just trying to stay in the flow right now. But definitely excited for the coming seasons.
Damn, staying in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to fire up some hot takes. We're going to get this thing going. You kind of already covered it, but we'll hit it again. Who's your guys' GOATs, your greatest of all time, male and female?
Can I say my husband?
Woo!
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a fair one.
Yeah.
You don't have to say me. It's okay.
Well, I'd be in trouble if I didn't.
No.
But you are the GOAT.
No, pick something besides me.
I think Andreas is my GOAT for, yeah. That feels right. I don't know if I ever got to tell him, but he was just such a giant inspiration to me, and then I got to know him and travel with him, and he continued to be. and then becoming a friend with him. And yeah, for me, it's Andreas.
And I can legitly say Tor, because I mean, we've known each other for a long time, for 12 years, and I've watched him snowboard for a long time, and then getting to know him personally and our relationship, like he's just such an insane human, like a fantastic person that I just like snowboarding style, who you are personality wise, your ability to grow and learn, like he's just wonderful. So
thank you.
I do mean it.
I take mine back. Celia's the goat. I thought we weren't doing this.
Sorry.
Next question.
Can you specify next time?
Is snowboarding? I hate
this. Was a trick one. God damn it, John.
God damn it, John. Would you consider snowboarding art form, sport, or lifestyle? Or whatever. I don't know. This question sucks.
It's a
Dude,
lifestyle.
you can do better than that.
I don't know. I have it on the
Every single time you ask this question, you're like, "God, this question's so fucking stupid," and you like barely get it out.
I like look at it. I don't like it.
You know, it's our show,
but it opens a good conversation sometimes.
I think it's a lifestyle for me because it was like it changed your life. Like it can open up so many doors and pathways, like you said. Like it can be an art, it can be a sport, but like it's a life thing that we embark on, and it doesn't matter if that's like your profession, but it's still it's part of your life, you know.
That's great. Philosophical.
Love it.
I like it.
Your turn.
Your turn, Tor. It's your turn.
Snowboarding is a vessel for self-exploration. And I don't know.
Wasn't actually one of the options. Sport, art, or lifestyle? Is that
Or
right?
D, none of the above.
D, none of the above. I guess vessel would fit in there.
I thought it was a contest of like seeming more spiritually advanced right there.
I'll say your answer's pretty good. It's pretty good.
We'll take it.
Snowboarding is a spart.
It's a spart.
It's like
It's a spart.
It's a spart.
Do you want to elaborate, or should we move on from this piece?
I mean,
of
I
shit?
feel like it's pretty. I mean,
That's
it's,
come on.
I don't know. I don't.
A
You know,
spart?
what are you gonna do? Argue with that? I mean,
it's
kinda
definitely
spot on.
Definitely
Let's
something.
move on.
Okay, next question. Who's one of the most underrated snowboarders in your opinion?
Well, I'm gonna give one.
Yeah.
And it might be super random, but Bev Filmier, do you remember her? And I know she I don't know if I want to expose her whole history, but she, ended up getting married and having kids and doing a whole different thing, and that's totally fine. But like when she was snowboarding and competing, like she was such a badass and she had such cool style. And like, I don't know, I just felt like she should have blasted off into like pro land, and maybe she didn't want it at all, but she always blew me away when I would like watch her ride. And she was, really inspirational for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a few riders like that I thought was just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, why isn't, just waiting for the next video part or something, and then it wouldn't come. And then just realizing, like, maybe they just, decided to go for something else. They weren't just all about it. Maybe there's
I think there's a reason for that with some of those people.
like one rider that pops into my head right now is this Canadian guy, E-Man.
Oh, yeah.
For example.
Good answer.
Just one of my favorite styles in the streets, for sure. And then just like, why isn't this person like on top of the, sponsor list and like all this stuff, like why isn't the person a superstar, And then I think people just have their own reasons, their own motivations, and their own life, and like, he's still an amazing human being, But maybe he's just not. Maybe I can't speak for E-Man, but maybe there's a part of him that enjoys being a little bit underground or something like that, I mean, feel free to hit me up if you have a different. I'm not talking about a person that's deceased here. It's like alive and well, So it's a little awkward, like, but as far as an example goes, like when you maybe it's just a part of my attachment to wanting this person to be bigger than life because his snowboarding is just in my opinion, bigger than life. And like, he makes it look so easy, and the style is just, oh, I wish I could do that. Like, he can do all this stuff that I can't do. Like, he should be bigger or something. It's just like a part of my shit. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, a simple E-man would have sufficed, but a deep dive into his psychology of is even better.
Yeah, sorry guys, that was completely. Sorry, Emmanuel.
All right, next question. This is an either or kind of thing. Just
super
kind of.
stupid.
Just kidding.
Now I'm embarrassed. I got work to do.
Steel or powder?
Come on.
Powder. That's easy.
How was that landing for you now?
I love the steel. I love it. Give me a down bar.
You do. I know you do.
Give me a down bar. Just give me a nice 15-foot down bar and like a rope toe, and I'm happier than a pig in the mud.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I love powder too, but maybe it's the nostalgia that still hits.
Yeah.
I like it all, but that's the hill I'm willing to die on. Okay, next question. Who's got your favorite style ever? I know you got names. Just blurt them out. It's not that hard.
I really like Tor's style.
Oh, Tor. Celia said Tor. I like that.
Oh, again? Oh.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I kind of already said Arrow. I heard it.
Arrow Ettila?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just said one.
Oh, I mean, I think I said earlier, but like I was really influenced by some of like MFM style.
those are
the
great
gangster, like
answers.
the open jacket and the like. I remember buying gear that was like extra big because like all the shop guys were buying extra gear big, and I wanted to look like all them. So
MFM's actually the correct answer for that question.
Yeah, that's what we were looking for.
It's actually it is.
It really is. You win.
All right, who's got your favorite method?
Oh, there's so many good methods. Can I say one that's like probably not normal? Like everybody picks their favorite pro snowboarder, but if you remember Jake Black and Zach Black, they're Colorado boys, and they did a contest where I forget what the contest was, but whoever like lost the contest had to do a switch method off the last jump at Breck. And Jake did the most ridiculous switch method where like his tail was just completely above his head. And I just saw it live. And so like as a moment, that was like my favorite one I ever watched, because I was like, the fact that he just hit that switch and did that perfectly, like we were all like losing our minds. So
nice.
Shout out to my buddy Jake Black.
I think you teed one up for me too, because I'm going to go current best method for me, and that's Scotty James on the switch method.
Ooh, good answer. Haven't got
somebody try to top that.
It's just so ridiculously hard to like wrap your mind around doing that. Like
also, Chloe's got a pretty insane switch method
right.
too.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Yeah, they're all. We don't need to open up that whole can of worms. I'll keep it moving. What's your favorite snowboard video ever made? Got to pick one. Single, not multiple choice answer. Just a single name and title of a video.
This should suffice.
I mean, I loved Pop when it came out because it was like one of the first videos that I was like watching that I just watched over and over and over again, and the soundtrack was fun, and like Travis's ender part is ridiculous. And
yeah, it's great.
A good choice. I'm gonna say probably Resistance, as far as what I rewound the most.
Great answer.
Back when you had to do that.
Okay, what's your favorite snowboard graphic ever made?
I take that back. Afterbang.
Afterbang. Okay. Okay, we're going. Okay, so then we're now final answer. Afterbang. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Favorite snowboard graphic ever made?
I know I'm making this super hard. It's worst hot topics.
Hot takes.
Sorry.
You gotta get the name right.
Blowing it.
Focus up. You gotta dig deep here. We're fourth quarter, down by 2. Let's finish the game strong.
I had a Santa Cruz board in like 2005. I don't remember what it was called, but it had this white graphic and this like golf ball pattern base, and I just loved that thing so much. It was like this beautiful white board with this like metal like cross thing on the center, and I don't even remember what the model was, but I just remember I loved that board so much. And I was working at Hood that summer, And I had gotten some free boards from a sponsor. So I was like, I kind of need some money. So I sold it on like one of the camp sales. And I still think about that board. I'm like, I wish I never sold that board.
The one that got away.
Yeah, I wish I kept it. Did my first 180 on that board. Anyway.
Was this first favorite board graphic in general?
Yeah, just like your favorite snowboard graphic, the one that you're like, damn, that's my favorite. I love that board graphic.
It was one I didn't get to. I think this has been answered before, but I didn't get to ride this board ever. But the old Burton Balance series, and I got just reconnected with it because I first saw it in a video game. I think it was Cool Borders or something like that, playing back in PS1 days, and then first time going to Baldface, meeting Pensiero, and then seeing that series on the wall, the whole series like put together, that was pretty cool. Like, I don't know the name of the artist.
Karpinski, isn't it? Or
you might be right.
If I get that wrong, we're gonna have to fact check that. Karpinski.
I'll fact check it.
If you go heliboarding 3 people, anyone in the world, celebrities, dead or alive, who are you bringing in the chopper?
I might be forfeiting this one.
All right. Well, I would love to take Tor because I very much value his opinion and I trust what he's going to send me down because I don't have a ton of experience. But like sometimes I'll just blindly go if I know that he says go right, left, right. You're going to be fine. I'm like, okay, got it. Go. Like I'll trust that.
That's one seat.
One, and then I'll take Nathan because I think he would entertain the crap out of both of us.
Nathan Florence, that's 2.
Yeah, Nathan. Hi. And last, I would take. I'd probably actually take Rob Kingwell because.
Oh, wow, nice. That's a good chopper.
The first time I went to Alaska, I went with him, and him and Mikey Bassich like put me and Sharka on sleds and like took our dumbasses around because we're just like, oh my God, everything's crazy. And we like had no idea what we were doing out there. And those guys were like our guides. And I just had so much fun with the 2 of those dudes together because they were, our age differences are, we had a good gap. And it was like.
That's the most legendary shit I've ever heard in my life. Mike Bassage and Kinger to Alaska? And we're just talking about that now? It's unbelievable.
I mean, they have so much experience. Like we were out there just. Yeah, anyways, I'd take Kinger because we would have a really good time. He'd have a blast. He's such a good person to like ride with. And
it's a good chopper. Tor, okay, you got 3 names for us here? This is a disaster.
I'd take Seal, for sure. That comes with a bonus. And then I think I'd take, I think it'd be fun to go with Ninja and just go on a real, let's just shred kind of trip. We've never really done that. Just me and like, I think that would be cool. And then maybe John Florence, just because I have like a major crush on him.
Yep.
As like a man crush, you know, not afraid to toss someone out there.
So we're gonna need 2 choppers.
Me and Celia
one
are
for
like,
him, one for me.
surfing's our like that's our football. Like we are diehard surf fans. Maybe Kai Lenny. I don't know.
Okay. Bring Kai.
We're gonna.
I can't make.
I'm moving on. I'm moving
done.
on. This is we're putting this behind us, and we're gonna learn from this. And
Apologies
we're gonna grow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Room to improve.
First try, backcountry step down, gotta land. What trick are you doing?
I would usually actually do like a front underflip.
Underflip 5?
Yeah.
Nice. Tor, must land.
Front Sevi.
That train's never late. That's always there. Front Sev, love it. Okay, next question. Dream sponsor. Anything in the world. Doesn't have to be snowboard related.
I feel like this one's gonna be hard.
I think this is. I'll give you an example. Mine's always been
Greyhound.
Not Greyhound.
That's been established.
Home Depot's mine. You go in there, you can buy whatever you want at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Some people have thrown out like airlines. People have thrown out airlines.
Airlines.
Do whatever you do, just don't throw out your own sponsor. That's the only thing we really.
That's not actually.
I
not
hate
allowed.
when people do that.
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna edit that out if you do it. So.
I mean,
those are the
travel
parameters.
sponsor is pretty dope. Like to get an airline, I'd go United Airlines as long as you get business class.
All right, United Airlines. Good answer.
Or Polaris on the long hauls.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe Moog synthesizers would be cool.
Yeah.
Just have access to their entire archive. That would be pretty insane.
All right. Let's get Ninja working on that. All right. Last question. Worst trend. What do you got?
One that kind of bothered me was when like people were wearing, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were like rolling up their pants and wearing them above their boots, which like people used to do at Hood because it's hot and like it makes sense. But then it became like a trend in the winter. I don't know how that started, but
still happening.
I'm like, why don't you just put it over the boot? Like it doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know why. It's not, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it seems inconvenient and it seems not practical.
Solid answer.
Coaches.
Would you like to elaborate, Torstein?
Standing on knuckles on like a regular park day with an iPad. Yeah. Let the kids have fun. Let them just form their own crews and enjoy it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's a given. It's point of no return. But we see it a lot in Colorado, you know. It's kind of the hot spot right now at Copper. There's a lot
Is this
of
more
coaches.
of like a style trend? Like
It's anything. It's just to choose your own adventure. I think that
I'm just completely blowing this.
No, you're not. This is a great answer. I wanted you to keep elaborating. I thought you did great.
Okay.
Yeah, keep elaborating.
Okay. No, that's. I guess I just come from a different time where like there wasn't any coaches around, and it's a little sad to see little kids not learning to make their own decisions and explore their own capabilities and their own ability to just have fun and enjoy and being kids on the mountain together, and just always having like this becomes this like repetition thing. Like each run they have to just come back and report their last run on a regular, you know. I know there's good coaches out there that have different methodologies, but we see the other side a lot, just living where we live right now, and as you said, being some of the last Mohicans. Yeah, I really love seeing kids just enjoying themselves and finding and exploring things and finding it out for themselves. I felt really lucky to be able to do that myself, and I think that's something to remember, that this is one of the best parts of snowboarding, and we shouldn't lose that. I think that's really important to keep in mind nowadays, and let kids kind of develop an ability to, you know, if you're always listening to somebody else, that's their opinion. They're going to say that same opinion to all the other kids, and you just become a part of all the other kids, you know, and you're uniquely you, and you can just, I don't know, I'm just diving deep again. Sorry, guys.
You're on some shit. You're doing great. Continue talking, please.
Isn't that what snowboarding is all about, though?
Yeah, self-discovery.
Like, just being able to explore and experiment and discover, and just, it is the best part of our sport. You guys. So let's maintain that. I think we should celebrate that. And if you're a kid out there right now that is wondering if you actually love the thing you're being told to do right now, or if you kind of want to take your older friend up on that offer, who offered you to come out on the snowmobile one day and ride some backcountry and see what that's all about. Maybe you should just say yes and just try something different. As long as your parents trust this gentleman, obviously, but just do it. There's a whole nother side to snowboarding that is, there's a door wide open there waiting for young kids coming up to embrace the backcountry, and just this side of what we all love that is like, that's it. And I want to promote that. I want to glorify that for as long as I can, because that is why we all love this so much. And it's not because you're being told what to do.
All right, couple more questions before we put this puppy to bed, so to speak. Photography equipment setups and snowboard setups. Celia, what you got?
Ooh, right now, my main camera is a Sony A1, which is a bit of a beast of a camera, but it shoots. It's got a very large sensor, so you can shoot really large images. It shoots really fast, so for action photography, it makes a lot of sense for me. It's not necessarily for everybody. And then I have a whole kit of lenses ranging from primes to 16 up to 600 millimeters. So for action sports, I'm mostly on 3 lenses that are zooms, 16 to 35, 24 to 70, and a 70 to 200. And with my camera and the sensor, you can punch in, so I can effectively get up to 300. So in the backcountry, that gets me, like, I can be across shooting at a jump, and be a couple hundred feet away and get a really nice image. And snowboard, I'm on the Capita Birds of a Feather, which I just love. I like a pretty straightforward board with some camber, and I like to ride switch a lot. So having something that rides pretty evenly is good for me. And
Stints or stance?
no, I'm about 19 and a half. I'm pretty normal, I think.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's average.
Respect.
I don't like getting too narrow because then I just feel like, I don't know, this doesn't work for me.
Beautiful. Yeah. Would we like to throw any thank yous out or anything like that before we wrap up the show?
I would like to thank Celia for being my goat. And I'm just covering my ass right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for putting us on. This was...
Now you're just doing
Silk,
it to us.
really, you held
just
it
doing it
down.
to us now. I see what you're doing.
Silk is kind of goated, I will say.
I'll take it.
Coming off of a silver medal in USASA open class.
No big deal.
Not bad.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
No big
kid's
deal.
doing good. I think we did it, guys. Unless more thank yous. I interrupted. Do you have anything else?
I mean, we're just thankful to be here, and we're I think I mentioned earlier, I'm very thankful for finding snowboarding because it allowed me to have amazing jobs and experiences and meet amazing people. And it's a really beautiful way of life. It's a good, beautiful lifestyle.
Tying it all together.
Yeah.
Those are facts.
I'm same. I'm thankful to be here with you guys. Grateful for the opportunity to share and listen and do it together. That's been really fun. You guys are by far the biggest media in snowboarding and growing into, I think, all of action sports. And it's really cool to see. It's cool to be back here since, over 4 years now and seeing how this place has changed and all that. Doing the work with you. It's been amazing, and it's just good time. Good time to be alive.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate you guys. That was a beautiful show. The last thing we're going to do here is, Tor, do you want to take us out of the show? You want to do the sign-off?
Okay, how does that go?
You just got to...
Yeah, whatever you want, Thank you.
Oh, you want
sponsors, thank the Patreon.
You want the words? Okay.
Words, and then hit us with a
little bit of everything.
Yeah, but you got the outro thing? You got the outro thing.
Well, the outro thing gets done in post,
yeah,
but yeah.
I'll be doing it later.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors that are blessing us with this opportunity to keep doing what we love. We'd like to thank the Patreon members and all the fans out there, continuing to snowboard and support snowboarding. We love you. And if you were thinking about doing that thing that you've been thinking about for a long time, you better do it. Now's the time. Let's go.
That was professional. Hit him on a high note. Yeah. Nice work, Tor. Fun show, guys.